Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Left of the box. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy. And I am sick, yes. I was around some friends during the holidays and they didn't warn me ahead of time that one of them was sick. Because I would have then insisted that both they and me wear a face mask, like a shield, to prevent this, because I've warned my friends and people who know me that I'm very susceptible to catching a cold. If I'm around somebody who has some sort of virus, I will catch it. So I'm kind of annoyed because I was hoping to do a live stream yesterday, but I was just not feeling it. And today, I'm still kind of not feeling it. I basically just have enough energy to sit here and stare at the camera and go over some things. So don't expect like the best analysis today, but there was news I wanted to get to. Plus, it's the holidays and there's fewer live streams on the holidays, so I wanted to fill the void and all that sort of stuff. And some interesting happenings and whatnot, and figure I'm going to touch on something that normally the Surfs would cover, but they're not live streaming this week, so I will cover it instead, and it will be a bit of a journey. But please expect weird things to happen, certain memory lapses, and you might even see me sneeze on camera, something that I've been kind of dreading, because I don't sneeze once. I sneeze multiple times, and they're very loud. So hopefully I don't want to, because everyone always has to comment on it after I do. Anyway, in the sandbox, we have Morbius Dragon, Mozart, Hermeteorologist, Soul Life, and Jet, John Davis. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I decided to let my hair be all puffy, my ponytail, as opposed to trying to do anything that required effort. So I just have like super puffy hair instead. This is what happens when I have no product in it. But I tried to put product on this part so it doesn't stick up as much. So yeah, just let me know if there's anything going wrong. Scream in the sandbox so that I know I should adjust something or something, because it's going to be an interesting live stream. Luckily, the cold hasn't hit me the way that they normally hit me, whereas the first day, like, I'm just completely out, like just out. But it could just be it hasn't really hit me yet. So tomorrow, like, that's the thing. I kind of wanted to do the live stream today just in case tomorrow, like, I was thinking, oh, if I wait till tomorrow, I might feel better. But I also might feel a whole hell of a lot worse tomorrow. Also, I was just catching the Vanguard, and they're going to be covering all of Francesca's. This is, wow. Okay, there's going to be a lot of pauses in this stream. Francesca debating with Jank on her channel. And I think that went on for like 2 hours or something like that. And they're going to cover the whole thing tomorrow. And they're starting in the afternoon, which means the entire afternoon, a lot of the people who are normally in my sandbox will be paying attention to that. So, like, even today, I was waiting until they were over, until Francesca was over, just so that I could sneak in here. And Letter Hack, from the looks of it, will be going live tonight at 10. I doubt I'm going to last that long. I don't have a ton of news to actually go over, so it should be doable. Although I save for the end, and if I don't get to it today, then I'll definitely get to it another day. Jank has been on a bit of an oopsie, I forgot to do this tour of talking to actual leftists. Because there's been about a dozen shows him and Anna have been on that are right-wing, easily a dozen, probably more, over the past couple years even. And they kind of maybe realized that for plausible deniability, saying that they're giving each side the same benefit of a doubt or the same access, in the past few days, he's been on like 3 different shows. So originally, the only leftist show he had been on was with his son Hassan for Thanksgiving. So that was not his son. Oh my God, his nephew. His nephew Hassan for Thanksgiving. And I don't think he liked how that went. Hassan kind of pinned him into certain corners.
Let's be honest,
that
they would never
really
choose
wiggle
the bear.
himself out
That's
of.
just propaganda by weak people. My favorite part is you choosing to like your own comment because no one else did. The man versus bear question is just a metaphor to represent.
Sorry, I just heard some audio go on and I don't know from where. Okay, looking for... Twitter has been absolutely bonkers lately. Where is this audio coming from? I shut the audio off for you guys. The desktop audio, anyway, but I'm still hearing it through my little earphones. My God, where is it? I'm looking for the little, the tab should show a speaker. There it is. Oh, that's a TikTok that I was planning to do for something else. Eventually. Okay. It's off. That's annoying. Twitter has just been a hot mess lately. But I'll put that on. So anyway, as I was saying before I heard that little voice out of the headphones on my desk, so he went on Hassan, his nephew's show, for Thanksgiving, and Hassan kind of nailed him into a bunch of corners. But then he didn't go on any other leftist shows, but he did have a debate with Jordan Ewell on TYT. I haven't actually watched it yet. I'm a little curious. And from what I hear, it wasn't that contentious. But then again, Jordan Ewell kind of relies on Cenk for a paycheck. Then there was Mark Lamont Hill. Oh my God. That was amazing, that live stream. So Mark Lamont Hill has been on TYT as a guest contributor every now and then. I do remember him from that. And the thing is that, well, I'll get back to that point. And then I also saw earlier today a debate with him and Brian Taylor Cohen, the BTC show. And that one kind of made my blood boil at the end. Well, in a couple of spots, it made my blood boil. But Brian Taylor Cohen has also been a guest contributor on TYT. You're kind of noticing a pattern. And so then today he was on Francesca's show and somebody's saying Fran really got under Cenk's skin. Cenk did get bodied by Francesca. I'm very interested to see it. Because if it's anything like what she has actually kind of said while on the damage report, I'm sure it would be pretty combative. But, you know, when you look at the leftist shows he's going on, it's people who, his nephew, and that was mostly for clout because his nephew, if you have a nephew that is like the #1 leftist streamer and you can get on their show, yeah. But then there's also people that rely on him for paychecks, people like Mark and Brian, who haven't been openly calling out TYT, and they've been former guest contributors on TYT. So you have that going on. And then today is Francesca, because it's hard. I think it'd be hard for Cenk to keep on pushing that off when she is literally a contributor on their network still. Because then how can he claim that she's unreasonable and all this sort of stuff? But the thing is that that's it. Like, he hasn't gone on any shows with somebody who, who can really push back on trans rights, who is one of the radical leftists that he talks about. Because as far as he's concerned, none of us talk in good faith, which is just a bunch of bullshit. And so there were a few spots from the Brian Taylor Cohen debate that I kind of wanted to touch on, but I'll save that for the end to see how I feel. Also, if anyone knows in the sandbox, let me know. I don't know if I can actually cover his content. I don't think it'd be copywritten, or he'd strike it or something. But I haven't seen any other leftist show cover him. Well, I haven't seen any rightist show cover him either. But I haven't seen any leftist show clips from him before. But that's mostly because I would imagine he's left of center. Like, he's not a progressive. He's a liberal. So there's not really, I think, much point in, progressives and stuff covering him because from everything I've seen of him, he is exactly what he claims to be. And there's nothing about him that seems overtly offensive from what I know. As far as I know, he's not like a raging Zionist or anything. He is a secret Canadian, though. So there's that. And I've been working on getting clips and stuff together for a video that I want to do about TYT and the drama and stuff of that sort. And I found them all. Because there was one clip that was driving me crazy because I knew I saw it. And it was actually part of a bonus episode that was a Q&A for Cenk and Anna. And I found it in my history. So I was able to get it, my YouTube history. So I was able to watch it. And that bonus episode that was open to the public, oh my God, I watched the whole it is so damning. So damning. Some of the things that he says in there. And I think it actually really gets to the crux of why he and Anna despise Sam so much. Sam and Dan. Why they kind of hate them so much. And the kind of reveal was they feel like Sam and Dan from the internet now have accused them of causing the suicides of trans folks. Which, if you watch the segments that they talk about, they're not accusing them of directly causing it, but they're adding, their rhetoric is adding to the atmosphere that is making life more hostile for trans folks. And, but I think they took it kind of personally, and they tend to do that. They tend to do that a lot. It's all about them in the end. Because a lot of what Cenk is talking about in these last couple of videos that I've seen of him in these debates is he's like, I want to go to the future, I want to see the future where people come back to me and tell me I was right. Like, he wants to be this, the political figure, the no-sayer, the prophet of the left, I guess you could say. And he wants that credit and he wants that clout. Which kind of goes back into my theory. A lot of this, it isn't him grifting. It's him just desperate for relevancy. And also now it's a little bit more about the money because TYT is suffering. Do you want to know how much TYT is suffering? I got a couple texts on my phone from TYT. They were texting me. Like, not just me. It's the same as when, like, Nancy Pelosi would bulk text people for fundraising. TYT is now bulk texting people for fundraising. The first one was sent back on the 19th, and I promptly forgot about it. It says, "New phone, who's this?" It's TYT. We have so much to tell you, but if you don't want to hear it, simply text stop to end these messages. And then they have this link and stuff. Whenever I get spam to my phone, I tend to just completely ignore it because I never know if it's legit, what's going on. So I'm worried that if I interact with it at all, then there'll be problems. But also, since I'm Canadian, and they're doing this text messaging thing, and if it is TYT, which it most likely is TYT, it probably costs them money to send me texts. And then I got another one today, actually. Today, I got a text from TYT with a picture of Jank from his MSNBC days. So, like, you see MSNBC in the background, which is an odd choice because they're asking again for money for TYT, but he's really promoting the MSNBC angle in this message. And it's a longer message. You have to click the view all for it. And it says, "Hey, it's Jank. You probably know I spent a year as a host on MSNBC, and you probably know I left because they warned me about my anti-corporate message and aggressive speaking style. Even though they offered to double my salary, I left MSNBC. I decided that no amount of money was worth compromising my principles." TYT is lucky. We're only accountable to you. Your support keeps us on the air. Words can't describe how grateful I am. In January, we set a goal of raising as much money as possible in small dollar donations by the end of this year. Now, with just 4 days to go, we're less than 50,000 short of our goal. They're still fundraising. They're fundraising from this audience. They're just, send us money, send us money. After December 31st, we'll stop soliciting for your donations. So today I have to ask you, can you pitch in a few bucks to help us reach our goal and keep us on the air? No. Like, seriously. Because I knew way back when that TYT actually sold off their mailing lists. Because that was the only connection or the only reason why I could think I was getting texts from the Democratic Party asking for money. And I would think, if they're running their organizations, they should at least screen out the Canadian area codes, because even if I wanted to, I can't donate money to political campaigns in the States. But it's just, how desperate must they be if they have to go far back in their records to bring this up, because I haven't gotten anything from TYT in quite some while. And it's just, wow. Wow. Let me just check the sandbox quickly. Oh, and I'm just seeing some things about comments and stuff and the other things. The thing that I loved about Mark's debate, I don't think Cenk was seeing it live, but Mark kept on putting up comments of his chatters. They were ripping Cenk apart. They were ripping him apart. And if we get to the Brian Taylor Cohen part, we can scroll down and we can see some of the comments. And people in general are not happy with Cenk. And again, here's the thing. Cenk is going on these couple little leftist shows. Anna isn't. Wonder why. Matthew the Celt, I was just in TYT's live chat tonight doxing Cenk's corruption. I screen recorded the whole thing. Soul Life, I just realized Cenk didn't start going on left streams to debate until the Vanguard. You should debate people he thinks are good faith. Matthew the Celt. No commitment chick almost got an exclusive video of me tormenting Cenk from live chat 2 or 3 days ago, but she said some fucked shit to me, so I deleted it from her Discord. Huh. Morbius Dragon, I think Franny may stop being affiliated with TYT at some point. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. So Life, I'm not convinced BTC's debate wasn't a friendly softball to help out Cenk. He didn't push back. Like, it was, I think Cenk knew with Brian he was in safe territory. Because there was a couple places where Brian needed to push back. And I think part of the reason why he didn't was because, again, he's just a milquetoast liberal. He's not involved with a lot of issues. He's not involved with the drama, to say, or the culture war issues so much. Like, he's more strict down to business with the news type thing, or political analysis. So I think in some areas where he should have pushed back, I don't think he did because he didn't know he should, which was really annoying. And I'll get to, there's the opening, a mid part, and the ending, I think, is where I wanted to go with that video. But I think he definitely went on to Brian's show, and Brian was definitely like, oh no, we're just buddy buddy. He did challenge him in some ways, some small ways, but he didn't go nearly as hard as like Mark did, or as I'm sure Francesca did. And, you know, maybe I'm just speculating here. There isn't that much intersectionality going on with Brian. You know, he's just a liberal. I can't remember if he's gay or not. But even then, it's not something that he would ever bring into the conversation. Whereas when Cenk was talking to Mark, like about naming white supremacists for who they are, like this is something that directly affects Mark. Like it's just, you can't be telling me that, you know, we can't call white supremacists white supremacists. Like it's just, and then I like Mark's rebuttal to that too, with him saying, you know, it'd be like us telling women, like, listen, ladies, you shouldn't be saying that Trump is a sexual assaulter. That's not good. It doesn't help the narrative. Like, he did a really, really good job of pushing back. And the comments were just lit that he was putting up on screen. And I don't think Cenk saw them, because if he did, he would have quit. He would have found a reason, I think, to end the conversation earlier. But I am looking forward to seeing Francesca's take on this too. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure if BTC was meant to just be a softball, or if it's literally he's too naive about everything that's going on to really be able to challenge Cenk. Jet, I could see the hurt in her eyes over Cenk's behavior. Ouch. So life, if TYT loses Fran, they'll lose more subs. Cenk debating the dirtbag left might be a miscalculation on his part. Yeah. The anti-corporate is, I hate anti-corporate messages. Soul Life, they fled my inbox at work. Thank God. Thank Google for moving it all to a promotions category. John Davis saying, I get fundraising emails from them every day. Yeah. Mindy Doctors, why are you sick? Because I was near somebody else who was sick. It's usually how it works. And I have, like, I don't think it's immunocompromised, but when I say it, I guess I don't even really know technically what it means. Like, I feel like it just means that you have no immunity and things are a lot harsher on you and stuff like that. And with me, I feel like I'm just more susceptible to catching viruses from people. But when I get the colds and stuff, they're just a cold. Like, it doesn't, it runs its course. It's just a cold. It doesn't do anything else to me other than what the standard cold or flu bug is. Like, I have my flu shot, so I don't think it's the flu. But I catch cold and flu viruses from people super, super easy. And it was just really annoying that, you know, they invite me over for Christmas dinner and they didn't warn me ahead of time that one of them was actively sick, which was just super annoying. Oh, and you were watching reruns of The Singing Ringing Tree. I'm not doing any singing right now with this voice. The anti-corporatist on the left. If you go unwoke, you go broke. Yeah. John Martinez, hello. Cenk deserves all of the shit he's getting for going full fash. Soul Life Anna can't debate. She'll argue, do misdirection. She's probably afraid to step in it too. Hello, Hunger Games. Uh, I jumped. Where was I? There we go. I don't think Francesca is long for TYT, John Martinez. So Life BTC even helped Jenks. Mark Lamont was on the wrong side here and here stuff, albeit he may not have known. Yeah, I don't think Brian was doing anything in bad faith. I think he was just ignorant of everything that's going on. That's all I think it was. Like, I don't think there was any plan to give him a softball interview or anything of that sort. I think he's just completely ignorant of everything that's going on. And he's not aware of like the trans issues and how Cenk promotes it and what he calls the max right left and all that sort of stuff. Like, I just think he doesn't know. MIDI Doctor, what's the Anna gossip versus Cenk? I have no idea what you're talking about. Hello, Bob Comody. Yeah. I'm sick, so a lot of my things will be even worse than normal. Matthew the Count, damn plague spreaders, yeah. So live hot take, I don't necessarily think people like Francesca saying at TYT is a bad thing. It's likely good for the viewer's mental health. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. Like, I have mixed feelings on it. Like, to me, I think I'd have a lot of respect for them if they took a principled stance and left. But I also understand why they would stay. Like, they might just need the money. There's not too many places they can go to. Their healthcare is tied to it. But also, just to still be a voice on TYT pushing back against some of this rhetoric, to let their audience know that if it's not sitting right with you, there's a reason. So I can see all the sides to it, really. Hunger Games, Franny tried to rip him a new own, but he wouldn't let her talk, almost like I'm a man and you know better than you now. No, respect me. Oh, that's going to be bad. Well, Cenk is a chauvinist, so that comes with a certain level of misogyny. So life, someone licked a bird to own the libs in Louisiana. Now it's mutated strain of bird flu. There's a pandemic talk again. Yeah, MIDI doctor saying Fran may have no choice financially. Yeah, and she just has a new baby. Hunger Games, I am also sick. I hope you feel better soon. Cenk completely lost his cool during Fran's debate. Hey, do you know what? At this point, these are becoming spoilers. I want to see it. Matthew the Kell, on the one hand, can you put your name behind such a corrupt institution? On the other, how else to repair but from within? Yeah, it's a little bit of here or there. But why don't we actually get into some of the political news that I have planned? Some of the I'm taking over for the serfs news, which should be interesting because I haven't done a terrible amount of research into it. So we'll do it together. And then we'll see how I'm feeling, if I'm going to cover the Brian Taylor Cohen thing today or if I'm just going to leave it till next time. Because I don't think it's going to be part of my overall video that I have in my brain that I'm trying to push out. Okay. So there's been a lot of talk in the news lately about Canada becoming the 51st state. Trump wanted to buy it, all this sort of stuff. And unfortunately, it hasn't been dying down. And there's been people up here in Canada that are like, you know what? That sounds like a good idea. It's not. It's really, no, it's not. So one of the people that's kind of cheerleading this on is a man named Kevin O'Leary. Now, all of you, even the Canadians, probably have no clue who he is until I say Dragon's Den. So I thought we would start by just doing a little bit of an overview as to who Kevin O'Leary is. So he's sometimes called Mr. Wonderful, is a Canadian politician and businessman, investor, journalist, author, and television personality. From 2004 2014, he appeared on various Canadian television shows, including business news programs, Squeeze Play, The Lang O'Leary Exchange, as well as the Canadian reality television shows Dragon's Den and Redemption Inc. Okay, we don't need to know. So he's another reality TV business rich man. Sound familiar? He founded some software products and stuff of that sort. In the 2017, he campaigned to be leader of the Conservative Party. He was the front runner in the polls during much of the time, but dropped out in April 2017, 1 month before the election, citing a lack of support in Quebec. Now, that's easy to tell ahead of time, because if I recall correctly, this guy here didn't bother to learn French. Now, I don't like the fact that in order to be a prime minister in this country, you have to be able to speak French, because, or you have to be bilingual. You have to be able to speak English and French. Like, if they can just speak French or they can just speak English, I'm fine with that, because, some people can spend all of their lives trying to learn a second language and just can't, due to like learning disabilities and stuff like that. So I don't like that criteria. However, it is very much a criteria if you want to win Quebec, because if you don't speak French, they ain't voting for you. It's just flat out, they're not going to vote for you. And if you can't get a lot of seats in Quebec, you can't win. And it's a numbers thing. So Ontario is the most populous province, I think, then followed by Quebec. And so we have the biggest number of seats in the House. So that's why Quebec could actually, the party Bloc Québécois could become the official opposition, because they have enough seats to do that. However, they could never be the ruling party, because they don't have enough seats to do that, because not surprisingly, they don't exactly have candidates outside of Quebec. There's maybe one or two, like in New Brunswick or certain parts of Ontario, but the Bloc Québécois is pretty much just in Quebec. So if you can't win a chunk of their seats, you're not going to win. So let's go down. We don't need to know a lot of this stuff. Just some business stuff that he did. Venture capitalism. Hey, venture capital. Yeah, that sounds about right. ETF and investing, cryptocurrencies. O'Leary initially expressed skepticism about cryptocurrencies. In May 2019, O'Leary told CNBC, Bitcoin is a digital game and is useless currency. He illustrated his thinking with the following example. Let's say you want to buy a piece of real estate for $10 million in Switzerland. They want to guarantee the value comes back to the U.S. currency. You have to somehow hedge the risk of Bitcoin. That means that it's not a real currency. That means the receiver is not willing to take the risk of the volatility it has. It's worthless. Then in May 2021, O'Leary told podcast host Anthony Pompliano that he had made 3 to 5% allocation to Bitcoin and had become a strategic investor in Vancouver-based decentralized finance platform DeFi Ventures. The company then renamed itself WonderFi Technologies in reference to O'Leary's nickname, Mr. Wonderful. Not shocking that a conservative businessman would get into, in essence, a thing that is just a con. It's not Bitcoin, it's more like Bitcon. In August 2021, it was announced O'Leary would take ownership stake in the parent companies of FTX. And as part of his compensation for becoming a spokesperson and ambassador for FTX, subsequently went bankrupt due to CEO Sam Bankman-Fried secretly using client funds to make speculative bets that were unsuccessful. In 2022, O'Leary, alongside other spokespeople for FTX was sued in a class action lawsuit. There is precedent for prosecuting individuals promoting fraudulent cryptocurrency ventures regardless of whether they had plausible deniability. For example, in February 2022, the U.S. 11th Circuit Appeals ruled in a lawsuit against BitConnect that Securities Act of 1933 extends to target soliciting using social media. O'Leary claimed on CNBC that he was paid $15 million for the spokesman role, adding that he lost $9.7 million in digital assets. Aww. The remainder element in various fees and taxes and further $1 million worth of equity in the company's insolvency. At an FTX hearing, O'Leary claimed that Binance CEO Shan Bang put FTX out of business. Yeah. O'Leary has been an advocate of cryptocurrency investing and personally owns coins in the cryptocurrency Ether, AM4, Ethereum, blockchain, Polygon, SOL, Bitcoin, Pwawath, whatever. So Dragon's Den and Shark Tank are what Canadians might know him from. It was just a thing where people would pitch their ideas for their inventions or something, and they would yay or nay it. So political activity, 2017 federal conservative leadership race. Following Stephen Harper's resignation, he then tried to run. In February 2016, Maxime Bernier, a conservative Quebecois politician, criticized O'Leary, calling him a tourist for wanting to be prime minister without being able to speak French. Bernier later explained that he wanted all leadership candidates to learn French and praised fellow leadership contender Lisa Rayet, who was trying to improve her French. O'Leary stated that he was taking French lessons and he promised to learn French in time for the next federal election. I don't think so. So in January 2017, he officially entered the race. The same day, his former Dragon's Den co-star Arlene Dickinson stated that she found O'Leary to be too self-interested and opportunistic to be qualified for the office of the Prime Minister. In response, another former Dragon's Den's co-star, Brett Wilson, endorsed O'Leary, highlighting differences between O'Leary as a businessman and his TV persona. Okay, we don't need to get much more into this. Political positions, labor rights. O'Leary opposes right to disconnect legislation, which gives employee the legal right to not respond to work-related communications outside of work hours. Social, he supports same-sex marriage and transgender rights. Aww. He also supports assisted suicide and marijuana. Let's see, anything else worth? In 2017, O'Leary described Russia as neither an ally nor a foe in an interview with CBC. He has criticized Justin Trudeau's procurement plan, supports purchasing aerial combat drones to defend Canada airspace. Okay. Leadership and lawsuit. Let's see. In November 2018, O'Leary hired lawyer Joseph Gora and sued Elections Canada and Canada's Federal Election Commissioner over campaign finance laws, which limited candidates to spending over $25,000 of their own money for leadership campaign. See, we have much better financing election laws here in Canada, which prevents people from simply just buying their way into power. That's a lot more difficult. It's not impossible, but it's a lot more difficult to do that here. At the time of the lawsuit, O'Leary still owed $430,000 to creditors. O'Leary has proposed to Elections Canada that he pay the debt now with his own money and fundraise the money later, but was rebuffed since this would be illegal. O'Leary publicly stated that the law promptly promoted mediocrity, since rich people would be discouraged from running and hurt the business that they have pledged money for his failed leadership campaign. Aww. In O'Leary's legal submissions, he argued that the law preventing him to use of personal money over $25,000 were restrictions on his charter to right for free speech. And the threat of jail time in those laws violated his Section 7 right to security of the person. He just wants to go full American at this point. Yeah. Money in Canada does not equal free speech. And then, yeah, a little bit, there was a boating accident back in 2019 where his wife was driving the boat and she crashed into another boat, which unfortunately was a fatal crash for somebody on the other boat. She was found not guilty of negligence later on. And he said that he wasn't aware of her drinking ahead of time, so there's no proof she was. And apparently the boat they ran into didn't have a certain light on, so it was pretty much invisible until they were like right on it. It was like done at night and stuff. But yeah, here, so on September 14th, 2021, Linda O'Leary was found not guilty of careless operation of the vessel. So the reason why I'm going over all this of this man here is because he wants to step into the arena. He wants to go to Mar-a-Lago to start a narrative about merging Canada with the United States because we don't want Trudeau negotiating this deal. Think about the power of combining the two economies, O'Leary said. Common currency, open trade, EU-type passport. Our economies are already pretty much combined. That's already happened. But the thing is that he's a private citizen. He can't. Like, this is stepping into federal government territory for international trade relations. That's not something a civilian can go do. But he wants to go talk to Trump, businessmen to businessmen about how to make a deal about getting Canada and the United States to somehow combine. So Republicans against Trump, remember when they say Trump was just teasing about annexing Canada? Now Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary, who is a Canadian himself, claims that half of Canada agrees with him and supports the idea of merging the U.S. and Canadian economies. Half of Canadians do not support this. I'd love to see where he got that number from. Most likely his ass. Because even the bulk of regular conservatives don't want it. It's usually only the people who vote PPC, the People's Party of Canada, which is like the far right-wing conservatives in Canada are the only ones that seem to think it's a good idea. But everyone else is like, no, it's a stupid idea. And I'll get into why in a little bit. But, Americans love their imperial nationalism and a lot of like Canadians like that too. And if you go to like conservative Canadians, while they might like some more US style things going on, they're still very nationalistic, Canada is part of their identity. It's not part of mine, despite the flag I have in the background. It's just a locator to let people know where my politics is coming from. Like if Canada were to change its name or Ontario break away and be called something else, or I come over under somebody else's rule, it all depends on, okay, so what are the policies? Do I get to keep my disability payments? Are you going to house the homeless, feed the poor, or like all that sort of stuff? Like, what are the policies in place? I'm not tied to Canada as a nation. But let's see what O'Leary, who is Canadian himself, has to say on Fox Business.
There's 41 million Canadians, basically the population of California, sitting on the world's largest amounts of all resources, including the most important, energy and water. Canadians over the holidays, the last 2 days, have been talking about this. They want to hear more. And so, there's obviously a lot of issues, more details, but what this could be is the beginning of an economic union. Think about the power of combining the two economies, erasing the border between Canada and the United States, and putting all that resource up to the northern borders where China and Russia are knocking on the door. So
Until global warming has totally taken effect and the North Pole melts, I don't think we have to worry about the northern border in Canada. That's not where the invasion is going to come from. But just this idea, no, we need to protect our northern border in Canada. Oh no, Santa and his elves are on their way to slay, slay, slay Canadians. Like, it's just... But the thing is that, our border is already fairly open between Canadians and Americans moving across it for trade reasons, for business. A lot of truckers and resources and stuff go across the border every day. I don't think having that border is actually hampering business at all. So we already have a fairly open border with the United States. We already have a tied economy to the United States. Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it the way. The status quo is just fine. We don't need to do more.
Secure that, give a common currency, figure out taxes across the...
No, I don't want a common currency, because right now if an American gives me $20, that's like $3,000 Canadian, and I like that dynamic. It's not so great when I have to pay an American something, but I like that right now. And I don't want the Canadian dollar kind of merged with the American dollar in some way. It's just, our money is far too pretty. American money is far too boring. We have very pretty currency up here.
Board, get everything trading both ways, create a new, almost EU-like passport. I like this idea, and at least half of Canadians are interested.
Well, the thing is that if you get this new EU-type passport, that's for all of Europe. So why don't we get one for all of North America? So include maybe Mexico in with that? That would make sense if we're going to do that EU type of passport. Huh? That then Mexicans would have absolutely freedom of movement between all three countries. Yeah. No, that's not what he's thinking.
The problem is the government's collapsing in Canada right now. Nobody wants Trudeau to negotiate this deal. I don't want him doing it for me, so I'm going to go to Mar-a-Lago. I'll start the narrative. The 41 million Canadians,
I'm the hero of Canada. I will go confront Donald Trump mano a mano and talk business and trade deals. He can't. Legally he can't.
I think most of them would trust me on this deal.
No, I wouldn't trust him on that deal. So up here, there hasn't been a vocal pushback from everything that's been going on from Justin Trudeau. He's been pretty quiet, milquetoast type thing. He has enough going on up here right now, and Trump hasn't officially gotten into power. The tariffs aren't officially here yet. And I think Justin Trudeau is just kind of preoccupied with keeping his seat at this point. But one politician that I've been seeing popping up on YouTube and social media speaking out against this is Charlie Angus, and he's an NDP MP. And I know there's some people in the sandbox that tend to speak very highly of him. I've met him once, and yeah, he seems like a decent enough guy. But he's not running again. He's retiring. He has a very diverse background, lots of different professions. He was in a band at one point. He was very strong for getting, clean water to Indigenous communities, very supportive that way. So he seems like, a fairly decent person. And he's been talking about it. So I haven't actually watched these clips from him yet. So let's see. So this is from Laura Babcock. Trump's after our water. Polyev certainly won't appease him. We need to get our act together and assure our nation that we are still strong. Fucking A. So this is Charlie call to action for Canadians in the face of Trump threats.
Trump's after our water. That should be a bottom line. No, we're not going to sell out our water. Rooney would have sold it out. Harper would have sold.
The thing is that a lot of our natural springs and stuff like that are already sold to corporations. Like, there's a place near me that has natural spring water that has been bought by a bottling company. I forget which one off the top of my head. But like the water that people might drink from the bottles and stuff like that, it's already been sold to, a lot of them have already been sold to corporations.
Sold it out. We got our water rights back. Polyev certainly would appease them.
I'm more concerned about what you're talking about Polyev. This gradual appeasement that brings us into being a state.
Canadians know instinctively we have a great history. We have a great tradition. I don't panic with this bully. I panic for American democracy right now. I'm deeply concerned, but we got to get our act together. We need to reassure our nation right now that we are still strong.
Fucking A, my friend.
Fucking A.
And there's some more videos of Charlie. I haven't seen these yet, so darn it, do I have this out of order? I do. This goes over here. So I haven't seen these videos of Charlie yet. So there's two from, is this the ASEAN? Is that how you say this Twitter account, ASEAN? They're two different clips, so we get to watch them together. So they say, Canadian House of Commons member Charlie Angus, in our country, we believe healthcare should be accessible to all, while assault weapons should not. Actually, I don't need to read that if he's just going to say it, so.
I thought he was punky. I thought it was people were pulling my chain. I'm at a Christmas gathering and people are like, hey, did you see Donald Trump's telling us to go to hell and he's going to take us over? And it's like, yeah, stop playing games. It's Christmas. Nobody's that mean and that vicious and stupid on Christmas Day. But whoa, I was wrong. There's Donald Trump, the man that so many evangelical people thought he was representing Jesus. That's how he spends Christmas Day. I felt I needed to respond because not only is he threatening us, but he's telling us how great it would be. I'm sorry, Donald. You know, you got a country. In our country, we believe that healthcare should be accessible to all and that assault weapons should not. And you don't have the same viewpoint at all. We got 48,000 gun deaths in the United States last year. We had 289 in Canada, and we got a lot of registered gun owners.
So even if you do the comparison there, so what did you say?
States last year, we had 200 not, and you don't have the same viewpoint at all. We got 48,000 gun deaths in the United States last year. We had 289 in Canada.
So the United States is over 300, like it's 330 million. So just for the simplicity's sake of math, the United States has around 10 times the population of Canada. So even if we take that into account and we multiply that 280 by 10, the United States is still, it's still a lot. That's only 2,800 compared to the
should not, and you don't have the same viewpoint at all. We got 48,000 gun deaths in the United States last year. We had 289 in Canada, and we got a lot of registered gun owners. I'm a registered gun owner. We don't want what you're selling, Donald. I thought
more than half, I think, or half of Canadians households have guns. Like it's not that Canadians don't have guns. We just have far better regulations around them. And then here's another clip from, I guess he was on Midas Touch talking about that on YouTube. And I guess we don't need to actually say this in quotes because he's just going to say it himself.
Watching some of the response in the U.S. media, CNN stated, oh, he's just teasing. What, teasing about taking over other countries? But then they said that, hey, it'd be a great deal for Americans to be bigger than the Louisiana Purchase. There's no such thing as teasing when you're threatening the sovereignty of independent nations. And I think for a lot of us, we just thought Donald sort of acted like the buffoon, but he wasn't that stupid. But here's a man who, when Putin launched his murderous war in Ukraine, praised Putin, said he was savvy, said he was a genius, and he has one of his Putin trolls taking up one of the key places in his new administration. So his disregard for Ukrainian sovereignty sent, I think, a very, very chilling message. His attacks on Panama, his attacks on Greenland, his attacks on Canada are sending a message that he doesn't respect the international order in terms of the rights of nations. And we have to start taking that, I think, a lot more seriously. Watching some of the response.
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to move the order of these. So, okay, I'll do those ones and then I'll jump back. Okay. So, what are like some of the differences between Canada and the United States that a lot of Canadians we understand is a reality? And I think one of the major reasons why Canadians don't want to become part of the United States is healthcare. Yes. It'd be nice if Canadians paid more attention to what was happening to our healthcare up here. But generally speaking, the vast majority of Canadians appreciate our system far, far, far more than Americans appreciate yours. So let's see what some of those differences are. So if we go here, Cal Clancy tweeted this out. Elon Musk, Trump, and Republicans said, "Fuck you" to 9/11 first responder heroes.
We're calling on the administration that's coming in. We're calling on the senators and Congress people that have made their promises to honor what everyone has said, to never forget.
New York City Fire Department unions are calling for the restoration of funding to the James Zadroga 9/11 Health and Compensation Act after it was left out of Congress's funding on Friday. The act guarantees medical treatment for first responders, firefighters, and survivors who helped with the recovery efforts following the World Trade Center attack. It also provides financial compensation for those who suffered injuries, illnesses, or death as a result.
We're calling on
So you have a bunch of firefighters who responded to 9/11 who are fighting just to have health care. Like, that is so sad. And it's horrific for the people that suffered that tragedy and then got all the toxic chemicals and stuff into their bodies, and they need that health care. So we have a whole bunch of people, like, if you would think any Americans would get health care, it would be Americans like them. But no, even they have to fight to have health care. This is what our healthcare fights currently look like. This is from Dr. Jill Andrew. She's an NDP MPP. This week I asked the government to back my motion eliminating hospital parking fees for patients, visitors, and staff. It's outrageous. As the government spends public money on foreign luxury spa, Ontarians have to pay for parking to visit a sick loved one.
Across Ontario, people are paying enormous parking fees at hospitals. In the GTA alone, a monthly parking pass is about $400. That's a lot of money, especially for our overworked and underpaid healthcare workers. Earlier this week, I tabled a motion calling on this.
So that parking pass is expensive and we shouldn't have to pay for it. Like, I'm all for having free parking at hospitals for patients and visitors. And I think that should be a thing because a lot of people can't afford to go visit their loved ones with these really high parking fees. And this, like, I'm not being sarcastic when I say this. Like, we need to be fighting to improve our healthcare in Canada, whereas too many Canadians have our eyes closed and we're losing a lot of what we have. Like, this should have actually been addressed years ago, but instead of progressing with being better in healthcare and including more things, we're actually starting to turn backwards.
This government to eliminate hospital parking fees for healthcare workers, hospital staff, patients, and their families, and adequately fund our public hospitals. Patients should be able to bank on this government to properly fund our public hospitals and not revenue from a parking spot for the hospital care and services they need. My question is to the Premier. Will this government provide necessary funding to eliminate hospital parking fees today so healthcare workers, patients, and families can have one less financial burden at the hospital tomorrow? Thank you.
Parliamentary Assistant Member for Essex.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Hospital Parking Directive is a directive that exists in the province of Ontario, and the purpose of the Ontario Hospital Parking Directive is to keep the financial costs down on parking fees for patients and the visitors at hospitals. The directive was created to reduce the barriers to accessing health care. Mr. Speaker, under the Ontario Hospital Parking Directive, there is a cap placed on any increases for parking fees in parking spaces associated with hospitals. In addition to that, there are also special rates created for a 10-day pass or a 30-day pass. This is all in keeping with our policy to help keep the financial burden of parking down for patients and for people visiting patients at hospitals in Ontario. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And the supplementary question.
Thank you, Speaker. I wonder if the Premier or any MPPs pay for parking here at Queen's Park. Anyhow, back to the Premier. CTV News recently reported on a Toronto woman who paid nearly $2,000 in parking fees to visit her mother. Across.
See, was there any more? Yeah. So that's why a lot of Canadians don't want to be American. Americans fighting just to have health care, Canadians free parking at the hospital. Going to go to the main shot and then we'll get into some other stuff. See how long I last. My voice is already kind of scratchy. I haven't tried talking much today, so I don't know what it's going to do to my voice to be talking. And that's kind of my thing when I'm doing a live stream, is that you're supposed to be talking lots. Might have to go and get more. I'm going to be drinking more than normal, so I might have to go to the washroom and get more beverage. Let's see. Not going to scroll all the way up, but Hunger Games says even Canadians don't trust O'Leary. Hello, Grand Theft Autobot. Hunger Games. Wait, does Canada have free speech? No, we don't actually. We have freedom of expression. But we do have restrictions on speech. And depending on where you are, it goes from, you know, you're not allowed to do hate speech to, you better speak in French or else you're going to be sued out of existence if you're in Quebec. Yeah, people keep on talking about, you know, the speech laws in Canada and how horrific they are, but they never mention what they're like in Quebec. Those are some speech laws. That's why a lot of corporations don't like working in Quebec, because you literally have to have a French version of your name, even if you're a generic company. So you can't be Walmart, you have to be Low Walmart, you know. So a lot of corporations don't like working in there because all of the packaging, all the signage, everything has to have prominent French on it type thing. And to do that for such a small market in comparison to the rest of like North America or something like that, they don't see the point in putting the money into it. Matthew the Celt, he wants to spread U.S. corruption like a virus. Yeah. John, Canada needs to be its own country, period. Morbius Dragon, I want to get smokes, but I'm too effed up to walk 5 minutes down the road. Oh, I know that feeling. Jet, none of this Canada, the 51st state crap makes any sense. Do all the provinces just, like, cartoonishly poof into one? Like, one of our provinces is already like half the size of the United States. Like, you really want one state that is bigger than the United States? Like, that makes no sense at all. It would have to be broken up into smaller states, I would imagine. It can't just be one amalgamation. Like, part of the reason why that will never happen is Quebec would never be on board for that. Neither would Alberta. They like having their own territories. They would never allow that to happen. Like, Quebec has regularly tried to be a different, to separate from Canada. And there's a strong separatist move in Alberta as well. But that's also not going to happen because a lot of people, they don't think about, the logistics in a lot of this. What currency, like if Quebec were to leave, and this was an issue at one point when they had a referendum on it, if Quebec were to just separate from Canada, what currency would they use? Would they need passports to cross the border? Like, there was all these logistical things like addresses and, taxes and regulations and stuff of that sort. But then also what they had to do, well, what they didn't have to do, but also what Quebec did at the time, in case the vote was in their favor, was they got a lot of RCMP by Indigenous reservations, because those are federal land. So even if Quebec were to separate, not all of the land is Quebec. Some of it is federal land. And so there was issues around that too. So, in Canada, there's a lot of unceded land as well. So, that you can't just say, okay, chunk of land move down, because there is land that belongs to different Indigenous bands here. So you can't just say, okay, all of this monolith come down. And there's like different cultures across the board, across Canada, that, there's a distinction between being an Ontarian, being a Nova Scotian, being a Newfoundlander, being from BC, or being a BC or British Columbian, something like that. So there's no interest, let's just say, to merge any of the current provinces, break up the current provinces, to break up the country, to merge the country. There's just, generally speaking, there's no interest in it, because there's no way in hell those right-wing Albertans who are, ultra right-wing would ever want to say that they're part of Ontario type thing. Not that progressive hellhole, well, run by an ultra-conservative right-winger. So it will never happen on so many levels. But there are ways that the United States can increase their power over Canada through buying land, buying resources, buying, it's not impossible. It just won't look like what people think it will look like, where suddenly, oh, we're all American now. It will happen in a different way, where they just take ownership of more of our resources and lands and things of that sort, but it still stays separate. Wanda M., welcome to the sandbox. Didn't know Larry was Canadian. There's a lot of secret Canadians. Soul Life, that's what I said, Wanda. Wait, did you guys know who O'Leary was? All you Americans, did you know who Kevin O'Leary was? Is he that much into the business world of like Fox News or something? Because I kind of assumed you wouldn't know who he was. Which is part of the reason why I went through that whole Wikipedia page. If you guys had known who he was, then I wouldn't have felt it necessary to do that. Hello, Nina Canadian. Morbius, Soul Life, I don't know. I wouldn't even know Uber stuff. Okay. Nina Canadian, we have earned worldwide respect, our morals and values and ours and cannot be compromised. It depends on where you go about that. More than half of the mining corporations around the world are Canadian owned. So if you go to an area that is near a mine, especially one that has maybe devastated the local indigenous communities and stuff like that. Canadians aren't respected there. But there is, there is the maple washing of Canada. There is that view of Canada that a lot of people outside Canada have of, we're very polite and peacekeeper type thing. There's definitely still that stereotype going on. John, I remember Canadian currency reminded me of Monopoly money. Yeah, our money looks cool. Hermeteorologist. Oh, I watched that episode, The O Show. Yeah, I haven't actually watched The O Show yet. That was from Laura Babcock, and I plan to do it because she seems to do some good stuff. Hermeteorologist. Nestle has a big plant in Hope, BC. Let's see. Just skip through some of these. I can't spend as much time in the sandbox as I usually like, just given that I'm sick, and I want to get through the rest of this stuff. Hello, PB. Oh my God, hadn't heard of this parking fees outside of hospitals, for fuck's sake. Boomster Black? Boomster Black? Welcome to the sandbox. I don't think I've seen you before. I think we should annex Washington State. Let's see. Grand Theft Autobot, he was on Shark Tank, Sandy, the American version of Dragon Dan. Oh, okay. I didn't know if Shark Tank was American or just another Canadian spin-off of Dragon's Den. So Live, I knew he was the Shark Tank guy, but didn't know he was Canadian. In the US, we either think Canadians are either polite or racist, but I guess he is racist. Yeah. John, polar bears are a legitimate threat in none of it, apparently. Yeah. In a lot of the territories up there, it's actually quite common for everyone to leave their doors unlocked. And that is so if somebody needs to flee a polar bear, they can just run into the nearest building. That's actually a thing. Also, it's not like they have too many people just passing through town. That might be suspicious. Like everyone knows everyone in these communities. So yeah, it's pretty standard for everyone to leave their doors unlocked just in case you need to run in to flee a polar bear. But you still want to visit. But you still want to go visit it. I want to go visit the Northern Territories. Grand Theft Autobot, I like our money because you can tell the denominations of the bills at a glance, unlike USD, which requires careful investigation to make sure I'm using the right bill or bills. Yes. So Life, that would get you shot in the US, leaving your doors unlocked so somebody could flee a polar bear? Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine you would get shot if people were fleeing a polar bear in the United States. Okay. So, just wanted to go over a little bit more Canadian-American relations. So the Surfs tweeted this out. Trump hates Pierre Poilievre despite all the boot deep throating. And so this is image from an article. Donald Trump says he urged Wayne Gretzky to run for prime minister in Christmas visit. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says he told Canadian hockey legend Wayne Gretzky during a Christmas Day visit he should run for prime minister. Actually, I probably should have pulled up like an actual article about that. Let's see. There we go. There. Let's move it over here so it's in the right order. Oh, we got some news on it. There we go.
President-elect Donald Trump is talking about Canada again. His latest stunt has him urging a national sports icon to run for prime minister. CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick is covering this story for us today in Washington. Okay, another day, another story out of Washington there. Megan, who is Trump promoting for prime minister?
Yeah, Trump weighing in on Canadian politics on his social media platform, Truth Social, which, of course, Canadian politics in a bit of turmoil lately with that dramatic resignation of Chrystia Freeland, which then prompted questions about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's leadership and calls for him to resign from some of his own MPs. Now Trump is weighing in on who he thinks should be Prime Minister of Canada, and it's Wayne Gretzky, hockey legend. Let's take a look at what Trump wrote about Gretzky. He said, "I just left Wayne Gretzky, the great one as he's known in ice hockey circles. I said, Wayne, why don't you run for Prime Minister of Canada, soon to be known as the Governor of Canada? You would win easily. You wouldn't even have to campaign." Trump writing that Gretzky has no interest in this, but I think the people of Canada should start a draft Wayne Gretzky movement. It would be so much fun to watch, Trump wrote. That post was then reshared on social media by Wayne Gretzky's wife, Janet Gretzky. Now, we know that the Gretzkys are friends with Trump and that they do hang out socially. When Trump won the election in November, there were social media posts showing Wayne Gretzky and his wife, Janet, and some of their children at Trump's victory party.
Yeah, we don't need to go into too much more of this, but yeah, Trump is all about celebrity and if you know him. And since he doesn't know Pierre Poilievre and Pierre Poilievre isn't, he doesn't have a very good stage presence, of course, Trump doesn't like him. Like that's how it goes. But since he knows Wayne Gretzky and Wayne Gretzky has a lot of celebrity behind him, like everyone in Canada knows who he is, of course he's going to say you should run for Prime Minister of Canada based on that and that alone. Like no other credentials necessary, which has proven to be the case in the United States. You don't actually need credentials to run for president. So he's still interviewing that way, but poor Pierre Poilievre, you know, all of the bootlicking he does, and still he doesn't get not acknowledged from Donald Trump. It must be heartbreaking for him. Good. But this is kind of tied to something TYT related, but it shows something that I wanted to see. But this is just Mundell Robinson replying to Jank, who said, "I have to admit I underestimated the tribalism on our side. I thought once people realized that I am defending left-wing positions in front of right-wing crowds, they would understand that's not selling out. That's the opposite." We don't need to read the rest of his monologue there. And then Mondale was just, "I refuse to allow this to go unaddressed. It is lunacy to pretend that you're all of a sudden trying to negotiate on behalf of progressive policies, especially when MAGA is what made you come to light." Every time Jank posts one of those soliloquies, I'll remind him that we aren't buying the BS and that this is about tribalism. And just because Trump supporters are in his comments agreeing with him, it still doesn't make it so. Projecting and saying we require some type of purity is BS and gaslighting. The gall to criticize an entire movement that held you down for so long simply because you now want to party with MAGA is dirty work. We see you. The gig is up. And this is what Donald Trump tweeted out on Christmas, or he truthed out, I guess. Truth out. Donald Trump sent this out on Christmas. "Merry Christmas to all, including the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal, where we lost 38,000 people in its building 110 years ago. Always making certain that the United States puts in billions of dollars in repair money, but will have absolutely nothing to say about anything. You see, it's when Trump keeps on reiterating, like, normally if there's a joke that doesn't land, you stop using it. Like it's not, then you don't keep it alive. And I don't think people are laughing when Trump says this stuff anymore. He's not joking. Like, I think he's going to try everything he claims he's going to do. But you don't keep on reiterating it over and over and over again if you think it's a losing strategy. Also, to Governor Justin Trudeau of Canada, whose citizens' taxes are far too high, but Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%. And what would happen to our health care? I'm fine paying taxes if it means I can go to the hospital for anything and not be charged. Their businesses would immediately double in size. Why? Why would they? That makes no sense. And they would be militarily protected like no other country anywhere in the world. Canada actually has a decent military, just saying, but we don't need to be protected because the United States is our only bordering country. Because still, I don't think Russia counts at this point. Likewise to the people of Greenland, which is needed by the United States for national security purposes and who want the U.S. to be there, and we will. Merry Christmas to the radical left lunatics. Oh, did Jank have any saying in this tweet by chance? Maybe. Who are constantly trying to obstruct our court system and our elections and are always going after the great citizens and patriots of the United States, but in particular, their political opponent, me. They know. There's no challenging him this time. Everyone knows he won. There's not. He just wants to be a victim. They know that their only chance of survival is getting pardons from a man who has absolutely no idea what he is doing. Also, to the 37 most violent criminals who killed, raped, and plundered like virtually no one before them, but were just given incredibly a pardon by sleepy Joe Biden. I don't. There were some pretty bad people Joe Biden pardoned, no doubt about it, but I don't think that's yeah. I refuse to wish a Merry Christmas to those lucky souls, but instead will say, go to hell. This is such in the spirit of Christmas. We had the greatest election in history of our country. A bright light is now shining over the USA, and in the 26 days we will make America great again. Merry Christmas. Yeah, this is what Jank is sucking up to. But this particular tweet isn't about Jank. It's about Donald Trump and how he keeps on reiterating these talking points. And I really do think he's going to try at some point. Oh, Nadia, thank you so much for the $2. The only protection Canada needs is from the USA. Yeah. Let's build the wall quickly. Let's make it an ice wall like in Game of Thrones. I guess we can't with global warming. But yeah, he just, to not take these as a serious threat from Donald Trump is very, I want to say foresighted, but that is totally not the nearsighted. It's very nearsighted to not take these as a threat. There's a phrase that includes the word sighted that I'm totally thinking of right now. But, Donald Trump should have literally zero say in who becomes our prime minister, even though I know in the next election he's totally going to be butting his nose into everything and saying things and all that sort of stuff. But he should have zero say, zero influence into who becomes our next prime minister. And I'm kind of glad he doesn't like Pierre Poilievre, because Pierre Poilievre is a whiny little man-child. So I'm going to check the sandbox quickly, and then we'll get on to more Donald Trump and not getting along with people. I I'm hoping to at least get through all the newsy stuff that I have planned today. Let's see. Grand Theft Auto bot. Oh, we became state gun laws instantly evaporating gun deaths, but also ramp up sharply. Wouldn't be so bad sarcasm, but healthcare is gone too. Yeah. PB, I grew up in a small rural town and we left our doors and cars unlocked until one weird murder was reported. It was pretty gruesome, but it was a family affair. Ugh. John, only 30,000 people live in all those big ass areas. Yeah, that's even smaller than Wyoming's population by 19 times. Well, it's very difficult to live in the Northern Territories in Canada. They're pretty isolated. The contrast between day and night over the years is very jarring to a lot of people. It's cold. It's hard to get infrastructure up there because, transporting anything up there is by plane. A lot of the roads don't even, you can't even cross a lot of the roads depending on the season. So it's very, very difficult to live up there. Very few people live up there. There's very little infrastructure up there. And it's horrendously expensive to live up there because all of their supplies have to be flown in, especially during the winter, when roads are inaccessible. So, the price of a bottle of pop can be $20 or something. It gets extremely expensive up there. So it's not like a lot of people are thinking, where should we relocate to? How about there? There's very little opportunities for business, for social life, for all of that sort of stuff. It's you really have to have a connection to the land, to the community, or want to be a lot more isolated, or there's specific research stations or something. So a very, very specific job in order to move up to the territories. So life, bro, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. I had to unload into a guy that broke into my house, and then I had to put down a bear a few seconds later. Nadia Churchill, Manitoba gets polar bears too. You don't like my music. I don't think I've seen you in the sandbox before, so welcome. Polyev's ad featured homeless people in Toronto juxtaposed with him and his wife in an empty field. Enjoy. I hope you saw his Christmas tweet. Very festive. That was sarcasm. John Davis, there's no way in hell I would leave my doors unlocked for any reason. I remember Fahrenheit 9/11, I think it was, that Michael Moore made, and he came up to Canada and he just went up to some random doors or something and found some of them unlocked. And that was in Toronto, apparently, at the time. It's not a common thing. I guess it would depend on the neighborhood you live in, but it's not terribly a common thing to happen for people to just leave your doors unlocked. I definitely lock my door, no doubt about it. But for the rare times I've forgotten, I've never run into problems. So yeah, it's a different culture up here for sure. A bunch of comments about Wayne Gretzky. PB, the problem was that one stupid murder caused everyone to change their habits about locking doors, and not having to lock your door was a great gift of freedom. It was, I think it's a much more open society if you can trust your neighbors that much. And then if there is things like an emergency, you can run into somebody's house that's nearby And the implication of leaving your doors unlocked like that too is that you're welcoming. So let's say you're outside and a storm, like a brutal hailstorm or something hits, so you could just run to the nearest house and open the door and go in. Generally speaking, if you live in a neighborhood that keeps their doors unlocked, then they're not about to say, what the fuck are you doing in here? You get out there back into that storm or something. You know, they'd be like, oh no, it's glad you came in here. Like, it's good that you're out of the storm type thing. Like that's it. It's a culture thing. And so a neighborhood that feels the freedom to leave their doors unlocked, that's a certain level of trust that they have in their neighbors, which, you know, makes for a far better community, I would think. You don't like my music? I live in St. Jamestown, Toronto. We have lots of crazy poor people, and we love them. Okay, Matthew the Kell, I am not reading that comment. That looks like a rant from Deadpool. John Martinez, growing up in gang-infested East Los Angeles, we had no choice but to lock our doors, and I do the same thing now living here in Idaho. Yeah, like I lock my door. There's no doubt about that. In every house I've lived in, I've locked doors, so it's not everywhere in Canada. Anyway, let's get back to Trump again. I'm doing more like stuff that I think other content creators might cover during this time. Like during this, while they're all on vacation for holidays and stuff. I really am to get sick now when I was hoping to pick up the slack of all the other people off on vacation. See, I have a little button there that I can mute this so you don't hear me blowing my nose. But yeah, I can see like the makeup I had on my nose is already coming off. Oh God, I look like shit. Horrible. I don't think I'm going to be clipping any of these videos. Oh, hello, Doc Possum. I lock my door if I go to the garage. I've just had too much stuff stolen. Well, I lock my door when I go down to the laundry room or if I take my garbage out. I don't think it'd be a problem in my building if I forgot, but the one time I don't, and yeah. So like, yeah, even if I go down to the laundry room or I'm just taking out the garbage, I lock my door. Anyway, let's get back to it. So there seems to be a little bit of some infighting. And this time, it's not in the left. No, it's on the right. And it's getting really big. And, you know, there's that phrase that we keep on saying, something about leopards and faces and eating. And, you know, everyone keeps on thinking that they're one of the leopards when they're not. It doesn't matter how many spots you paint on yourself. It doesn't matter how much you try to simulate the behavior of the other leopards. You're not one of them. And when a leopard is hungry, they will eat whatever face is convenient for them to eat. I don't know who this is. The popular liberal says, wow, Wolf Blitzer just reported Trump claiming the Democrats have lost their confidence, and now he's firing back on social media buzz about Elon Musk running the show. Can you believe he threw in a jab at Elmo? The drama is real.
In Arizona on President-elect Donald Trump's first rally-like speech since winning the election. Trump made a wide range of remarks on immigration, the Panama Canal, and even Elon Musk. Here's some of what the former president and now the president-elect said at a conservative conference in Arizona on Sunday.
The victory was such an outstanding one, such a big one. And the other side now, they lost their confidence. If you watch television now, they're all befuddled. They don't know what the hell happened. We will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America. in full, quickly, and without question. When you look
I put as much face at that actually happening as he did with building the wall.
at like autism from 25 years ago, and you look at it now, something's going on, and I nominated Robert.
Yeah, the thing that's going on is it's getting diagnosed more. That's all. You know, proper diagnosis.
F. Kennedy Jr. Is something wrong? I think so. And Robert and I and all, we're going to figure it out. President Trump has ceded the presidency to Elon Musk. No, that's not happening. But no, he's...
I think a lot of where he's actually starting to get, like, it's getting under his skin is because everyone keeps on joking about it. You know, the same way that he keeps on joking about Canada being the 51st state, is that there is some truth to it. Like I said, I don't doubt that Trump will somehow try to wrangle it some way that he gets more ownership over Canada. He's going to try everything he says that he's going to do. So to him, there is some truth in these jokes he's saying. So when people keep on joking about Elon being the actual president and stuff like that, Trump reads that the same way, where it's like there is some actual truth to what people are saying. And I think it's really starting to bug him because he doesn't want to share the stage.
He's not going to be president, that I can tell you. And I'm safe. You know why? He can't be. He wasn't born in this country.
So I think that started a whole bunch of stuff between online with Laura Loomer, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and all this sort of stuff. So I don't have like anything particularly planned for this. I wanted to do the research with all you guys because I don't normally get into the weeds with this sort of thing, this online drama, whatnot. But when I went over to her Twitter account, Laura Loomer's Twitter account, I didn't have to go far to start seeing where some of these comments are coming from. So yes, I have a lot of accounts blocked and stuff. So I'm just going to scroll down a bit and then we'll take a little peek at some of them that she's talking about, where she's like actively fighting with Elon Musk, which is just so funny. And I know people are also attacking Vivek Ramaswamy for the thing that I saw earlier is that Vivek and Elon are both saying that they want to have a certain type of immigration, people for the tech sector that are smart enough to do it, because apparently there's no Americans smart enough. It has nothing to do with like underfunding in American education and then them wanting to bring in the good ones. And I think, was it Vivek that actually said he was one of the good ones in one of these tweets? Something like that. I think it was. Somebody pointed that out. Darn it. There's like all these things that I wish I could find for this, but like I don't even know where to begin with this. So we're just going to find out together. And like all of this scrolling I've done right now that you've seen me do, we're just 6 hours ago. And she's already tweeted this out like crazy. And partly because you notice something about her name. Here, I'll do this. You notice something about this? There's a blue check. There is no blue check. Oh, she got mad. She got mad when Elon Musk removed her blue check and all the privileges that come with it because she had the audacity to say, you're stupid or something like that. So, where do we even begin with all of this? Cernovich. There's a name we haven't heard in a while. Elon Musk saying that he's constantly being insulted on the platform. let's see what we can do from here. I'm sorry, I'm not the best at doing this type of online drama, but I still find it semi-entertaining, and, you know, we don't have the serfs covering it for us. So Laura Loomer has deactivated subscriptions at the next renewal date for your subscriptions. I don't know what that means. So I guess just some people with their accounts locked. In her message, we've temporarily limited some of your account features. So Laura here is saying my 12-hour suspension is now over for raising concerns and speaking truth about the technocratic takeover of our country and White House via influence peddling by billionaire crony technocrats. I have been stripped of my premium account, blue check, and my subscriptions. What right do you have to a blue check? Is that a right? Is that like a human right on Twitter that you are allowed to have a blue check? Like, there's lots of people in the United States that need housing, but apparently, according to some people, housing is not a right. So what right do you have to this blue check you so speak of? Just kind of curious. I have no idea where this begins. X just removed all Laura Loomer subscribers. This is censorship. And the thing is that means she's not making money. She's not making money from Elon Musk. Oh, and she's actually fighting with Cernovich. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Mike Cernovich is the guy that got Sam Cedar in trouble way back when for promoting an old tweet that Sam had that was taken wildly out of context and that caused up a lot of drama and stuff like that. And he's just a complete right-wing horrid person. So I guess, oh, right. They were tweeting about H1B. So multiple accounts, and this is from Mike, multiple accounts have never posted about H1B or having blue checks removed looks like something else, not some retaliation or what others suggested. So the HB1 visas are what the people in the tech industry would use to come over here and work. And they've been, pushing back because Laura Loomer, Cernovich, all of these people, they really hate immigrants. They don't care what kind of immigrants they are. They hate all of them. All of them. All of them. And they don't want any in, even if it is for the tech sector and stuff. But the billionaires like Elon Musk and Vivek, they're like, we need those people in here for our capitalist corporations because we're underfunding education so that people here in America can't do these jobs. And there's probably some Americans that can. But the thing is that when you bring in people from outside the country to come work at your corporations, you can abuse them much more. You can use that over their head. You can have that threat of like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to send you back to your country and you're going to lose your job. So they have less control over people born in the United States versus people coming over on the visas there. So Elon and Vivek, they want to keep those visas, but other people who are staunchly anti-immigrant, no matter what, they want them gone. Just gotta remember to turn that back on after I blow my nose. So Laura's replying to Elon. Elon is saying, I am constantly insulted on this platform. Aww. Because Cernovich is saying, never insult the monarch. And I guess Elon thinks of himself as the monarch of this platform. And Laura's saying, we just want Trump's agenda to be fulfilled. We appreciate you buying X and also express our concerns. Why can't we appreciate you buying X and also express our concerns? We are very reasonable people. Elon, free speech for all or free speech for nobody. That's exactly how you do things. Somebody pointing out that replies are now being hidden from your posts. Someone telling Laura Loomer that full censorship of my account simply because I called out H-1B visas. This is anti-American behavior by tech oligarchs. What happened to free speech? See, the thing is that you don't really have free speech in the United States. And not only that, this is a private corporation. It doesn't apply to private corporations. Doesn't matter how much of a free speech warrior you say you are, it's a private corporation, something that they love to talk about all the time too. It's like, well, corporations should be free to do what they want within their own boundaries and stuff like that is another thing that right-wingers will say. So when you have two opposing views like that, you run into things like this. So she's not getting any money. So this is from Vivek, who's replying to Mike Lee, who's replying to Mario, whoever. I don't know who these people are. But the corruption and wasteful spending in Washington won't end until those elected to federal office start respecting the limited role of the United States government. There is no end to the corruption, and we'll see from Congress that recognizes no limits on its own power. Yeah, the establishment. The corrupt establishment that's in power now that, I can't help but think of TYT right now, and Jake in particular, saying that we won against the establishment. Vivek saying, an administrative state that recognizes no limits on its power combined with Congress that recognizes no limits on its power is a formula for fiscal and constitutional calamity. Voters elected Trump with a mandate for sweeping change, and they deserve to get it just 4 more weeks. And Laura said to him, the technocratic state is more dangerous than the administrative state. Yes, the nerds will inherit the earth. Is that it? Or is it the geeks? The nerds. The nerds. I know that's not the actual phrase, but it should be. Your silence on the censorship of those who wanted to put a limit on the power of big tech is deafening. Dodge can't be allowed to utilize as a vanity project to enrich Silicon Valley. Oh, no, you can't go enriching a corporation. You can't manipulate things to enrich a corporation. No, not unless I'm benefiting from that enrichment. I think part of the reason why she's so mad is because, she lost her subscribers. She's losing money on this. Vivek and the right wing, they aren't exactly known for their censorship of big tech. Was it Vivek that was involved with that? It rings a bell. Involved with trying to get rid of certain regulations online. Where's your popcorn for all this? Ooh, it's even in Rolling Stones. Donald Trump's ally Laura Loomer says Elon Musk is silencing her. How can you call yourself a free speech absolutist, then punish someone by restricting their speech? We need to have an honest conversation about big tech influence over MAGA. Post not available. Read that one. Oh, she went on Bannon this afternoon saying she is concerned that Democrats may use the perception to create narrative that big tech is buying influence and enriching themselves. I just want to be able to have an open dialogue. I'm not going to listen to over 4 minutes of their conversation. That is just not going to happen. But wow, do they ever get energized? Like, that's the thing, something the left can learn from is when they find a bug, they grab like all the fly swatters and go to town on it. Like when somebody rubs them the wrong way, they have all the itching creams and everything, and they're squirting and spraying, and it's the room is like flooded with anti-itchy rubbing sprays. I'm sick. Okay, I'm sick. I barely know what I'm saying right now. But basically, as soon as they get a bee in their bonnet, they get all the insecticides out. and start spraying. In fact, they start inhaling it so that it comes out their ears into the bonnet as well to destroy the bee. In other words, they mobilize really fast when they have an issue. And they blast it all over the place. They get onto each other's platforms. They do all this stuff to make it a big deal. So even if it's something that's like, who cares if she loses her subscribers? Like, really, nobody really cares. But they make it a big deal. They make it news. They find a way of getting it into the headlines by, being the squeaky wheel. But it's more than just being a squeaky wheel. It's like being the shrieking banshee wheel. So here, somebody asking, is this a fake account? Where's the check mark? Obviously, I'm being sarcastic, but I'm trying to help prove your point, says that suck up to Laura Loomer. And Laura saying, X took away my ability to verify my own public identity by banning me from having a blue check. Wasn't one of the problems with the way these blue checks were working these days was it doesn't mean anything about your identity anymore. It just means somebody bought a blue check. And there's all these accounts out there that look official but have a blue check because you could just buy a blue check. So it doesn't do anything to actually verify a person's identity anymore. That was part of the problem with the blue checks being done up the way they are. So there could be Laura Loomer accounts. Let's just see. So here we have Loomer Unleashed. Has a blue check. Oh, hosted by Laura Loomer. So not all of our blue checks were taken away. But yeah, a blue check really means nothing these days because anyone can buy a blue check. It's just a good way to find out who was trying to suck up to Elon Musk in the first place. Laura, I'm trying to protect President Trump. Dems will use financial conflicts with big tech appointees to try to impeach Trump and take back the White House. Silicon Valley wants to use their money to get Trump to remove federal export control laws so they can hire more foreigners. Somebody kissing up to her again. Total bullshit stating your opinions. So why are you being penalized? You didn't incite violence, etc. Did they give you a reason? Laura, because big tech made it clear that if you question their intentions with the Trump administration, you'll be silenced and threatened with censorship and demonetization. We didn't vote for technocratic billionaires. We voted for President Trump and deportations and America First policies. No, we voted for like Nazi shit. Not to get this other Nazi shit. We voted for this package of Nazism, not this package of Nazism. Get your bundles right, Nazis. Let's see. She likes quote tweeting herself for no reason. Big tech's unchecked influence peddling is setting the stage for Democrats to take back the White House by channeling America's frustration with being sold out to billionaires who can claim to want to cut spending while they enrich themselves. I predict they will try to impeach over it. She's upset that people want capitalism. She's worried that Americans might get frustrated with capitalism. Is that it? Is that what's going on? Yeah. But take back the White House by channeling America's frustrations with being sold out to billionaires. That's capitalism there, right for you. That's exactly what you were wanting. Who claim they want to cut spending while they enrich themselves. That's capitalism, baby. So you got to throw in the baby because I'm covering for the serfs right now. Stephen Miller, hardcore fascist right there. Biden axed Trump H-1B reforms, which eliminated its use for cheap labor, raised wage, stopped the displacement, outlawed substitution, and replaced H-1B lottery with blah, 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 blah. You don't need to read the rest of that. I wonder what Trump advisor Stephen Miller thinks about the elites of Silicon Valley mocking native-born Americans who want a homeland and limited migration. Yeah. See, this is where Elon Musk is running into problems. He wasn't born in the United States. He just bought it. And now the American right wing wants a refund. It's pretty much what's going on right now. Stephen, please save all of us low IQ, culturally deficient peasants from being replaced by big tech. Isn't that the whole point of AI? I have no idea. I haven't checked the sandbox. I have no idea if you guys are even enjoying this or not. Brenda. Okay, I have to do the right voice for this. What I think this woman sounds like. Weird. I don't remember voting for you, Elon Musk. You're basically saying that if we disagree with your opinion, we are wrong. You don't respect us. If we are Laura Loomer, you'll just shut us up. What are you doing to do about this monster you created at Real Donald Trump? What's this? I blocked it. Where was I? No. Darn it. I have to go back. Oh, there we go. Anyway, I don't know how much more we need to go through this. Because she was tweeting so much. Oh, and Eel Miles Chong got involved with this too, and then lots of racist stuff got hurled towards him because he doesn't live in America either. So he's saying much of the anger being driven towards Elon Musk today is simply disappointment being projected by the, I'm not going to say that, the R-word right that's on the fringes of the conservative movement against Musk, who they wish was unrepentant racists like they are. And Elon's agreeing with him, and then Laura's saying, Elon Musk just agreed with a tweet from a foreigner. I see why Elon hates her. She said tweet. She kind of referred to this as Twitter by saying this is a tweet. So yeah, Elon Musk on Twitter just agreed with a tweet from a foreigner from Malaysia who just called MAGA Trump supporters opposed to H-1B visas the R-word right. Mask off. His mask was never on. I'm just saying. Emails Chung, there's no mask involved with him. First he called us contemptible fools. Now he's calling us the R-word right. JD Vance, please come condemn this right now. I'm calling the manager. Where's the manager? I want to speak to the manager of the United States right now. My freedom of speech is being violated because I'm not getting paid on Twitter. Let's see. Elon Musk has said the contemptible fools I'm referring to are those in the Republican Party who are hateful, unrepentant racists. So just the entire Republican Party. They will absolutely be the downfall of the Republican Party if they are not removed. They are the Republican Party. What are you talking about? MAGA is taking a page from Democrats on how to lose elections while feeling good about themselves. And Elon Musk is, yes. Oh, he didn't just do the interesting or indeed or curious. And those contemptible fools must be removed from the Republican Party, root and stem. Yeah. It's a field of weeds, Elon. It's a field of weeds. Oh, wait a sec. The manager wasn't responding to her fast enough, so she also reposted her own tweet from before, it looks like, to David Sachs. As the incoming AI czar, are you planning on leaving your investment firm, Craft Ventures, that has a portfolio of crypto and AI investments, which include Elon's companies? Don't you think that puts the real Donald Trump administration in a compromising position? I'm sure there's no compromising positions right now within that administration at all. They're as clean as the floor after the cat has licked its own barf up. There we go. Anyway, I think we get the gist of it. I don't think we need to do any more of that. So take it, sir. So I did Lance's job for him this week. And I'm sick. I have no idea. I'm going to check the sandbox. And then we're going to get back to some actual news, which is actually creepy. I'm just looking at it right now. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done it in this order. Stupid narrative, because I was going from, Kevin O'Leary trying to influence the, talk to Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump still joking about the 51st state, and then his opinions on, who should be Canadian prime minister, and then him and Elon Musk, and how that then led into Laura Loomer. So you see, I try to follow a narrative. And so that was all basically like one story tied together in a way. But then I also have some like actual news to get to, which is pretty damn dark after this. Pretty heavy hitting news after, I just spent a long time shooting the shit about this. Oh, Nadia, thank you so much for another $2. Greenhouse effect means Santa needs a houseboat. Yes. Jet, if I don't lock my door, my cat will try to follow me out. Let's see. John Martinez, his voice is like nails on a chalkboard. Not entirely sure who you're talking about there. Could be a lot of them. Grand Theft Auto Trump. Ewan's not the president. I am. I'm president. Me, wah. Oh, you're talking about Trump's voice being nails on chalkboard. Yep. Oh. Bye, John Davis, even though you're probably still not here anymore. Nice to see you, and I have been taking a lot of vitamin C. I've been doubling my dose. I usually take one chewable a day, but now it's like, I'll take 2. Although I make really silly faces when I'm doing it because it's sour, so my face like really scrunches up when I do it. Believe it or not, I make silly faces. Yeah, and John Martinez just asking me if I have access to them. Yeah, I'm doubling my dose of them right now. Grand Theft Autobot, Americans not smart enough, result of conservative constantly defunding education over the decades, mayhaps. Bob comedy stripped. No. Hello, the Wild West. They'll want to buy Norway next. Yeah. Soul Life, that's how you know Trump broke up with her for good. Elon cut her off. Hunger Games, according to Laura Loomer, it goes against her free speech. Yeah. John Martinez, wasn't Loomer banging Trump? Wouldn't shock me. There was something about them having an affair, but, you know, I don't want to think about it any further because I don't need that visual. It's like, don't think of the elephant in the room. Grand Theft Autobot, are my chickens coming home to roost? Has my Uptons finally come? Have the leopards eaten my face? Yeah. You don't like my music? F these Nazis. Yes. Figuratively, not literally. I would never want to do that literally. So like Trump just called him a foreigner too. He isn't in office yet and Elon has tensions brewing. John Martinez, exactly, Sandy. Free speech means MAGA can call me a violent racist term. That also means when I cave their face in for it, they can't do shit. Gotta love it. Grand Theft Autobot, Elon's mother. Well, just buy Twitter and silence them, Elon. Elon, okay, Mom. Evil grin, wringing hands in evil manner. I'm sorry. Oh, especially considering the actual news that I want to get into after this. It's a definite tone change. I'll try to just scooch through these a little bit quicker. So that I can get to actual news. I don't think I'm going to get to the Brian Taylor Cohen thing today. Oh, PB, thank you so much for the $5 and the sticker. That's so cute. Okay. So, tone change. Transition, I don't know. Getting back to like actual news now that I finished filling in for Lance. Doing this type of stuff. Oh, I have so much Kleenex on my desk right now. I'm going to have to clean up after this. So, actual news. Difficult actual news. Like, it is definitely a tone change from what we were just talking about. So, my last news stream, I mentioned something about the death of an unhoused person, a woman who froze to death in the outside. And there's an article about it now. From CP24, a strong woman who never gave up, East Toronto neighborhood shaken by death of unhoused resident. What a lot of people still don't get, no matter how often we say it, is no one wants to live like this. The only reason why somebody lives like this is because they have no better option. Nobody wants to be outside in this weather, dealing with the snow, the wet, the dampness, not being able to get clean, not having a safe place, not having a safe, warm place. People in Toronto's East End are shaken after a well-known unhoused woman from the community reportedly died over the weekend. Rita, or Mary as she was known to many in the area, had been staying for some time in a small encampment in the parking lot of the west side of the Shoppers Drug Mart near Danforth and Coxwell Avenues. A staff member at the nearby Tim Hortons, which is located within the drugstore, told CP24 that she arrived to work around 6:50 a.m. on Saturday and saw the woman being loaded into an ambulance in the parking lot next to the coffee shop. She appeared to be only wearing a top. I don't know how to say that. I guess that person, the witness, told CP24. Because of the cold, I think she died. It's too much, she said, adding that paramedics were there for about 15 minutes before transporting the woman to the hospital. She was a very nice lady. It was so sad. We're shocked. Meme said people from the community would come daily to help the lady who loved double coffee, Coke, and chocolate chip muffins. Like many in the area, Rosa Alamo supported the unhoused woman. She was bright, always had a smile for people, and she knew who looked out for her. Her eyes twinkled when she said thank you and shared a laugh and a smile, said Alamino, who told CP24 that she met Mary about 3 years ago when she moved to the neighborhood. She was independent, never taking more than she needed. She always refused anything more than that. She was so strong. I always looked at her in awe. Such a strong woman who never gave up. Almino said she'd been looking forward to seeing Mary on Saturday, but when she went to the Tim Hortons near where she was known to have been staying, she wasn't there. I said to my husband, that was odd, and it turned out she had passed the night before. So very, very sad story. And we scooching down to here. On Tuesday morning, the spokesperson for the office chief coroner confirmed that it is investigating the death of the female that occurred in the hospital after she was found in medical distress in the parking lot in Toronto East End on Saturday. I am unable to disclose further information, such as identity or preliminary findings, as the coroner and police are still attempting to locate family and next of kin for notification. So sad. Like, so many people just want to dehumanize people who are unhoused without, any thought of these are individuals. They are people. People who are unhoused are still part of communities. They're still known by their neighbors. So it's just saying the woman's death came during an especially frigid period at the city where it fell as cold as minus 19 degrees Celsius with the wind chill. And while Toronto's warming centers were open on December 21st, they were closed the following day. A city councillor says that she intends to review the city's warming center policy in the new year. Well, that's too late for some people. Because here we have this. Yesterday, many regular services for poor and unhoused people were closed, including warming centers. People with nowhere to be on Christmas Day were riding the TTC, and so were the fair inspectors. Tell me why you're wearing a Santa hat to give out fines. Shake my head. So festive of her. Wearing that, trying to kick off people who are unhoused. And the warming centers are freaking closed on Christmas Day. Like, what are people supposed to do? The government doesn't want encampments. They're shutting down supervised consumption sites. They aren't opening up enough shelter spaces. They aren't providing, alternative housing of any sort. They've shut down the fucking warming centers during winter. I think this is the outcome they want. Really? People so terrified of being on the streets, and this will be the outcome, that they'll work whatever job, low-paying, capitalist job that they can be, where the people who run the company can abuse them and manipulate them and hold this over them. It's so disturbing that this is happening. Like, people think of Canada as this bastion of freedom and, thinking about your neighbors and socialism. Yet this is what's happening today. And so Diane Chen McNally was just saying, when I tell people I've met lawyers and real estate agents who have become homeless, they often don't believe me. But it's true. Former councillor and MPP Lorenzo Bernadette is sadly not an anomaly. I only wish him well. No one deserves to be homeless. So this is a former member of provincial parliament. I may end up in tears telling my story, how a former MPP and Toronto City Councillor found himself living in a homeless shelter. That's the thing, and this is from the Toronto Star. So many people have no idea how close they are to becoming unhoused. Because people who are living paycheck to paycheck, they still don't. The reality of what happens when that next paycheck doesn't come in and what that means, a lot of people haven't sat with that reality or thought about what they would do. Because this is why I say don't wait for it to become your problem before you get involved. Right now, it's important that even if you don't think it's about to happen to you, look at your community, your resources, and if it were to happen to you, where can you turn? What can you do? What are the shelter spaces? What kind of other organizations are out there that can help you? Are there lawyers that, help out tenants and things of that sort? Start looking at those things now so that if the day comes and you're suddenly thrown overboard, you're not struggling to swim while trying to figure out where to go. So Lorenzo, a former Scarborough councillor and 4 times elected MPP, shares his cautionary tale. 26 years ago, Lorenzo was a leader at the dawn of a new civic era, the head of Scarborough delegation in the first Toronto megacity council. 6 years ago, he was at Queen's Park, helping steer the province from the helm of its Justice Policy Standing Committee after winning 4 elections as Liberal MPP. Tonight he will have his bag searched. He will take his shoes off and have them inspected for weapons and drugs. He will sleep in a room with 23 other people. One of the things that is so dehumanizing when you end up in the shelter system and stuff, because I've been there, was how suddenly before you might have been a respectable person. People respected you. They trust your character. They think you are a decent person. And then as soon as you end up in one of these shelters, suddenly you're suspect. You can't be trusted. You're a drug user. You're all these horrible things, because why else would you be in the shelter? And we can't trust anything you say, so we're going to search your belongings to make sure that you aren't trying to sneak in anything you shouldn't be doing. Because the one shelter I eventually got into, I did have at least like my own closet-sized room, but it could be inspected at any time, and it was. And in the middle of the night, I'd have the door open, and because they were checking to see if I was there. Like, all of your autonomy, your personal rights, your dignity as a human is just stripped away from you. I may end up in tears telling my story, Lorenzo said recently from the public library he uses as an office. It's been really hard, really hard. Most people Lorenzo used to govern Ontario with, or sit in council beside, or practice law with, don't know he has become homeless last year. He said he agreed to an interview with the Star to share his tale of how he wound up where he was, to remind them that luck is only real insulation from hardship. People will start laughing at me. What an idiot. He should have saved his money, he said. But anyone can end up homeless. Unfortunately, I got sick, and it's taken a long time to recover. Marla Walters, executive director of Ajax Shelter, of the Ajax Shelter Lorenzo lives in, knows he's right. A veteran politician showing up needing a bed isn't remarkable to someone who works at a homeless shelter. Lorenzo sleeps next to doctors, nurses, and other lawyers some night. Life can change suddenly for people, she said. People from all walks of life end up in shelters. We're not so far away from their situations, we think. I'm not going to go through the rest of this article. People, you kind of get the gist of it, of how dire the situation is. And then once you become unhoused, trying to become housed again is so much more difficult now than when I was in the shelter. Like just trying to get first and last. If a landlord knows that you rely on disability for payments, even if you're renting a room and you're check can cover the rent, you're discriminated against. They don't want people on disability because they think they're lazy and can't keep clean and all this sort of stuff. The stereotypes attached to it. But to try to get first and last when there's no rent control and how high things are, how do you get a job when you don't have an address in the first place? Like, there's all these barriers, so many more barriers put in now than when I was considered a youth in my early 20s and trying to get rehoused again. All of this, like, if you lose your place to live and you don't have friends or family that you can go crash with, this is where you end up. Because there's no cheap options out there anymore. Like, there's no sustainable options for you to suddenly go to if worse comes to worse. And then once you're in this vortex, it's so hard to escape it. And here we have outreach workers saying Ontario encampments are necessary amid lack of shelter space. And this goes back to Doug Ford threatening to get rid of all the encampments in Ontario, threatening to use the notwithstanding clause, threatening to find workarounds, the law, like an actual ruling in this province that people had a right to stay in an encampment if there was no suitable shelter spaces available to them. And some people are saying, like, yeah, these encampments are necessary. Like, if there's no shelter spaces, where are they supposed to go? So in an encampment, you have people around you, you have others looking out for you to share their resources, to share their knowledge of how to navigate the system, of having just that moral support of people who can understand what you're going through, that built up community. Like, where else do you just go off on your own, and what? You end up freezing to death. Like, even in an encampment, you can end up freezing to death. But it is just so sick that this is where we are, where we have people just fighting to say, can we please keep people in tents in a park? Like, it's not even about the housing right now. It's just, can we please keep people in tents in a park? Sean Horrell walked into the woods holding a basket filled with hot meals, water bottles, juice boxes, and snack for a group of people living in a small London, Ontario homeless encampment. When he approached the camp, he was greeted by a brown dog that barked and wags its tail. As Horrell called out names, 4 people left their makeshift shelters to grab the lunch he brought. It was a chilly day in late November, with thick clouds and light drizzle making it feel even colder. Do you have any winter clothes? He asked a woman in a black hoodie with good vibes written on it. Horrell responded with a smile. Yes, you have to walk with me. 2 men and a woman followed as he strolled through muddy leaves to a minivan nearby parking lot where they tried on jackets, boots, and socks. On days like today where it's raining or the weather gets worse, it means so much more that we show up and we come to them, Horrell said. Not only does it make them feel valued, but often if you're sick out there, that's when you need emergency energy and warm meals the most. Like, I just have a cold right now, and it's somewhat minor compared to some of the colds that I have gotten. But just the thought of having to deal with it right now, out in the cold, the drizzly, like it's wet right now out there because a lot of the snow is melted, without access to proper blankets or a heating pad or even medication, like cold medication. Like, that's the only way I'm going to be able to sleep tonight is I'll take a nighttime cold medication. Like, all of that sort of stuff, like just even to get clean, to feel clean. That's denied to these people simply because they had the misfortune of landing in that situation, often through no fault of their own. The system is designed to make people fail, to have them suffer, so that people will tolerate being abused and manipulated and taken advantage of even more by these greedy corporations. As the province seeks to end homeless encampments in public spaces with tough new legislation, many Ontarians are divided over how the issue should be handled among ongoing housing addictions and mental health crisis. But Horrell and his team at 519 Pursuit, a non-profit organization that helps homeless people in London, are determined to continue delivering hot meals and supplies as 5 days a week to people living in tents. Yeah, 519. That's the area code. So 519 Pursuit. Horrell's routine is almost the same every day. So right now we have Doug Ford, who's threatening to try to take away encampments, shelters, supervised consumption sites, while providing no real alternative to this. But you see, there's a province right next to Ontario that recently elected an NDP government. Wab Kinew, the first Indigenous person to also hold to be premier of a province. And they have a different strategy on how to deal with unhoused people. Manitoba will start moving people from encampments into housing in 2025. Balanced budget by 2027, says Kinew. That seems like a decent way to get people out of encampments. Premier says Manitobans will see big steps on homelessness, balanced budgets, still achievable despite deficit. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew says his government will start moving people out of homeless encampments and into housing in the new year, while sticking to its timeline for a balanced budget, despite a projected deficit for this year's that's grown by $500 million. Kinew said in a year-end interview that 2025 will begin when you, as the average Manitobian, start to see the big steps on homelessness. Within the first few months of the year, the province will move people living in tent into new housing units the government is opening up, he said. I think what we're going to do is move camp by camp, he said. It's actually going to start at that level of like a few dozen people at a time. Let's move them into housing. Let's make sure that the camp gets cleaned up, and then let's make sure that it doesn't get set up again because people have been successful in their new housing. Kinew wouldn't offer details around the number of people who will be supported or the number of units opening up, but he said the new homes would be available for people at all stages of the housing process. This sounds like, I don't know, socialism. Because he says, I don't know the details of it yet either. But it says units the government is opening up. That sounds like socialized housing right there, which is good. He likened these stages to a ladder where the bottom rung is basic shelter, followed by social housing, Manitoba housing, and then private rental market. It's taken time for us to get those units together, to get the relationships with the private sector, so that when somebody's been in Manitoba housing for 5 years, we could transfer them into an apartment, he said. But now that we have that ladder in place, 2025 is the year where we go out and start moving people into more dignified living conditions. The NDP promised in 2023 election campaign to end chronic homelessness within 8 years of taking office. It's now aiming to connect individuals who've been without shelters for 6 weeks or longer with housing and mental health supports. During its first year in office, the NDP said it housed 1,100 people who were living in encampments, shelters, and transitional housing. Though the issue of homelessness is rampant along streets, riverbanks, and bus shelters, particularly in Winnipeg. The province's 2024 budget included $116 million to build 350 social and affordable housing units and repair more than 3,000 units. All of that with just that much. Keep in mind that Doug Ford only offered $50 million for some housing for all of Ontario, and Ontario's population is far greater than Manitoba's. Like, it's actually astonishing with that little money that they're able to have 350 social and affordable housing units and repair more than 3,000. It doesn't take that much. The provinces have the money to do it. It's in the budgets. It's there. The money's there. It's just the lack of political will. And once you put that political will in place, you start getting people out of the encampments and into dignified living situations. Canoe said the government would devote more money into addressing homelessness in the next year's budget, but he didn't specify how much. The premier says there's been recent progress towards cleaning the encampments outside of the Granite Curling Club in Winnipeg along the Assiniboine River and only a few hundred meters from the legislature. What determines whether or not people end up back there is, do they have the support so that they can remain successful in housing, he said. Canoe wants to have social workers, mental health staff, and addiction workers in place. This is really sounding good, because there's been like housing first initiatives out there that have failed because there's no other supports put in place. Like, this is a multi-tiered support system that needs to help in order to get people out of encampments and into housing. Is you need to have the housing, it needs to be secure, it needs to be safe, but then you also need the mental health staff, the social workers, because again, if people try to find these resources on their own, there could be waiting lists for years. And then some programs require you to go cold turkey off your addiction. No, it has to be housing first. You can't become mentally healthy while still living in an encampment. That's just an impossibility. Trying to ask somebody to kick their addiction while they're in the environment that most likely caused the addiction in the first place, you can't do that. You have to have these services in place with the housing in order for it to be successful. Earlier in December, he said the proposed supervised drug consumption sites at 200 Disraeli Fairway will serve as a navigation center for staff visiting the encampments, who will then find camp residents place to live within 30 days. Still planning to budget in the first term. I don't need to go over the budget. Let's see. Yeah. So just really, really, like, that's the contrast, and that's why elections matter. You elect an NDP government, and even though I have my qualms about the NDP, no doubt about it, but they're far more likely to do things like this. Like, even here, the NDP was willing to double the rates of people living on disability. That alone would save so many people from becoming unhoused and help so many people get into housing. That alone, because we could then just afford rent. So you have this NDP government and what they're doing versus what Doug Ford is trying to do right now, where it's just get rid of everyone, criminalize anyone who is unhoused, throw them in jail without any treatments. And yet some of those people, some of those conservatives will say, well, how dare these other unhoused people just get handouts? They should, basically, it's about punishing the poor. That's all the conservatives want to do, is they just want to punish the poor. Punish them for being poor in the first place, for being an inconvenience for them, for being in the way of their eyesight. They just want to punish them for not being, for falling onto hard times, for not having supports, for already, like, that's the thing. For people to become unhoused, there's usually a lot of really bad stuff that happened to them in the first place. And so all these right-wing conservatives want to punish them for already living through all these traumas. That's not how it happened. That's not how you get people healthy again. You get people healthy again by helping them deal with those traumas in the first place and getting them into housing. So this is good news out of Manitoba. Okay. And something that I hope, like, that's the thing. I hope it doesn't get undermined like it usually does. I hope it is successful, because when you have a program like this that is successful and other people start seeing it, especially people who are vulnerable and unhoused themselves, when we could start pointing to Manitoba and saying, you know what, they did it there, so really, why can't we do it here? Like, what's stopping it from happening here? And then it's like, oh, the government, that's what's stopping it. It's the conservative government that's stopping it. So I hope and pray, not just, for the people that this program will help. Like, I just hope this program is successful for the people in Manitoba who need this program, and so that it can be an example of what we can do when the government starts working for the people instead of corporations and the wealthy few. Okay, with that, let's get back to the sandbox. Nadia, you're always so generous. Wow. Thank you for the $5. Opus Day. You're giving me a super chat I can't read. Integrate list. This example, SCOTUS are more neo Francoist, flagist, Francophones have penatitis lusophones and renovacos, but Changa in PT now differs. That's not English. I tried. Was that intentional or did you forget to switch over? Oh, I tried. I gave it a good try, and thank you again for the $5. Just scrolling back up. I'll try to get quickly through this. I have a few more things. What are the few more things? They're just kind of like one-off stories, I think. Is that? Oh, that's a bigger story. And I'm running out of steam, and the letter hack's starting in 20 minutes. So, I might have to save these for tomorrow if I'm feeling well enough tomorrow, and I'll wait till after the Vanguard has done their live stream with covering Francesca's thing. But I'll probably check in with the letter hack. But usually after I'm done a stream like this, I need to unwind, and that means not watching, content creators. It means just playing games and watching a movie or something to just kind of unwind and relax. So unfortunately, since I usually stream on the same days with the letter hack, I'm not in his chat as often as I would like to be. But I do lurk from time to time. So why don't we just unwind, and I'll leave all this stuff to Saturday if I'm healthy enough, or Sunday if I'm healthy enough. And then that way I can give it the attention that I feel like these stories deserve. Okay. John Martinez, what did Brian Taylor Cohen say? He had Cenk Uygur on for a debate, and the video was posted today. It's under an hour long, but there was a couple times during that just made me so mad. And I was talking about it at the beginning of my stream, so people can backtrack and watch that if you like. But the short of it is, I don't think Brian had any ill will. I don't think he was in on it. I don't think he was purposely giving Cenk a softball interview. I think Brian is just naive and ignorant of the actual issues that were at hand, because he doesn't generally pay attention to the culture war issues. He doesn't know a lot of what's happening, because his program is basically liberal, like US politics liberal direct. Like, he's not paying attention to much else. And he doesn't get into the weeds a lot. So I don't think it was intentionally a softball. I just think he didn't know any better. But there was a few times during that I got so mad at what Cenk was saying. Let's see. So Life, but Fox News said homelessness is actually just a woke radical lifestyle choice. Yeah. You choose to be homeless by not working 3 jobs that don't pay enough for a living wage, even combined. And then you're not renting a closet from someone. So in that sense, yeah, then you're choosing it. John Martinez, Soul Life, yeah, being homeless was clearly a joke I was playing on myself and others when I was when I was, shake my head. Yeah. And the thing is when I've told people after the fact that I was unhoused for a year, and they're like, well, didn't you have any family? It's like, yeah, technically, but so did pretty much everyone else in the shelter. Again, you're choosing the least worst option. If people were choosing to stay in a shelter versus staying with family, there's a damn good reason. Grand Theft Autobot, free housing. I think you predicted what one of the stories was going to be. PB, in order to rapidly change life on this planet, we need to give people a place to live, healthcare, and social societal system that helps them to be the best they can be. Yeah. I think people are talking about, what is it, Ollie Ollie Oxenfree or something like that? I remember the words. I don't remember what it actually means. John Martinez, it's also hard to work while homeless. You need an address for the most part. You can't win. Yeah, you need an address. You need a place to go home, like to go back to sleep consistently, to get clean, to have clothes, to store your stuff. But a lot of places you work at require some sort of address. And what are you supposed to do then? Say, well, I don't have one. And then immediately there's the discrimination once you say that. And they're like, well, we can't trust you because you're unhoused. And yeah, like who wants, like, that's the thing. Who's going to hire someone who's unhoused? There might be companies willing to keep people after they've become unhoused, but nobody is going to hire someone who is unhoused. Morbius Dragon, I have to hope that there are enough Republicans that won't vote for Social Security cuts. Matthew, the homeless shelter's invasive systemic distress is why they have so many violent homeless colony stories. Let's see. It looks like a lot of people are chatting amongst yourself, which is good. Hello, S. Just S. Okay? I'm not sure I've seen you in the sandbox before, so welcome. Sorry, I'm sick today, so if this is your first time watching me, I'm not normally like red-nosed and crunkly voice and this low energy. Although a lot of people might not think I've been lower energy. Just kind of comes in spurts and stuff. I'm usually out of it, though. But S says they control the supply and recently admitted to having the numbers wrong. Darn it, I don't know what that's in reference to. Doc Possum 519 with clappy hands. That might be your area code then. John Martinez, takeaway in Cammon while paying for $1 billion tunnel to eliminate bike routes because they inconvenience him. Yeah. And it's a 60 billion tunnel. To start, it's easily going to be 100 billion if he actually goes through with that stupid project of a highway under a highway. That sounds like something like dumb enough that Trump would say, you know, like the moat around the wall or something like that. Oh, we'll just build a moat. And Doug Ford sitting here, I know how we can solve traffic in Toronto. Another highway, but under the highway. It's like double stacking the highway. It'd probably be cheaper to double stack the highway than to build a tunnel through, you know, the Canadian Shield in some parts. You know, that's rock. That's hard rock. Or then soggy wetland. Like to build an underground tunnel that is wide as a highway in land that is rock, clay, marsh, farm, forest. I'd like to say it's never going to happen, but because it's just a dumb idea to begin with. Atticus Among Us, dog whistles hurt my eyes. Hurt my ears. I was thinking that would be some weird autistic trick if dog whistles hurt your eyes. Well, I'm sure for some autistic out there that's the case. Soul Life. John, I think we need to replace the word socialism with something else to finally start getting some of it. Yeah, something like caring for your neighbors. We believe in community community. That sounds too much like communism, doesn't it? Darn it. Let's see. Jet, I'm pretty positive the whole left versus right thing is US can be boiled down to compassion versus selflessness, respectively. Jet and PB replying saying, Jet, it's not a difference, it's of opinion, it's a difference of morality, and Jet agreeing. I jumped. Jumped. Why'd you jump? PB, Soul Life, it would be wonderful if we could find labels for socially supportive programs that didn't scare people. You see, the thing that always gets me about all these labels and stuff is that, you know, the right always uses, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's the thing. It doesn't matter because the right wing uses labels that we would use, but to them, it means something completely different. Like they have Freedom of Speech Act or Families First Act or Individual Right to Life Act and all that sort of stuff. But when they say it, they mean things like taking away people's right to choose and right to go by preferred pronouns and things of that sort, or right to choose your healthcare provider as opposed to having it given to you. Like if we were to take the exact same names of their bills and attached it to ours, they would scream socialism at the exact same name. So it doesn't matter what we call it. They will still say it's socialism and it's scary. It really doesn't matter what we call it. So it's trying to sell them policy without telling them it's policy. Because like even if we were to say like it's common sense, well that's pretty much what the Pierre Poilievre campaign slogan is common sense conservatives. So even if we were to be like it's common sense to provide housing first, well it means two different things depending on who's saying it and who's owning it, you know? It's just, yeah, it is, that's where it boils down to the morality. It is more of a morality thing. Because, you know, it's us versus them for the right. And yeah, I'm sure I'd be more capable of saying something far more intelligent and in depth than what I could right now, but I'm sick. Frodo, can you come here and show everyone your beautiful face? He's crying at me right now. Frodo. Oh, he's in the litter bin. I don't want him to come over right now. Grand Theft Autobot, double ODSP raids would be amazing. My favorite heavy-duty chair just broke and it's killing my back. I am fearing calling my worker for financial help. They'll probably deny me like every other time. Yeah, because I am scraping by right now and I still need help. So I have friends who will occasionally help me out with some stuff, like the fact that, you know, I need the money that I get from my channel, as little as it is right now. But there are things that I go without. So I'm not scraping by right now. Because I need assistance from other people, and there are things that I'm living without. If I had $2K a month, I could scrape by. I could get everything I need without worry. Pay my bills and stuff. If I got $2,500 a month, I'd be rich. I'd be able to put a savings aside so that when I need a new computer, when I need a new car, if I need a new wardrobe for whatever reason, I could save for an emergency. I could go on a vacation, you know, like all of that sort of stuff. At $2,500 a month, that's all I need, and I would be rich. I'd be able to donate money to other people. And I know this because I've lived off of, you know, less than that or around that amount before, like when I had a regular job and things of that sort. Like, I don't live above my means, as a lot of people would accuse me of. I know how to live cheap, and I also, like, over my life, I don't want a lot of these luxuries that people have, like spending money for the sake of spending money, like getting the most updated iPhone or most updated thing, or I will still use things until they're no longer usable. I won't, you know, upgrade for the sake of upgrading to have the latest thing. I still will buy cheaply, you know, like it is $2,500 a month, I'd be rich. And if we double ODSP rates, I'd be rich. You know, I'd easily be able to look after myself. Any vet bills that came my way, I wouldn't have to worry about. I'd be able to pay it off. Yeah. I have a cat on my lap right now. Abernathy, say hi to everyone. You can't come on my lap and not say hi. Are you going to come up too, Lanier, at the same time? Oh, he wants to. Yep. Okay, so I have 2 cats on my lap right now. Come here. We're going to do this. We are going to do this. Kitty sandwich. There we go. Babies. There we go. Cuddle sandwich. Cuddle sandwich. Ah. There we go. Down 1. Oh. So life independentism? Well, that sounds right wing. Oh, I guess that's Scott 1994 SCTT. Thank you so much for the $2. Everything all right, Sandy? I'm sick. I have a cold. I was around one of my friends for a Christmas dinner, and they didn't warn me ahead of time somebody was sick, and I pick up any bug I go near. I don't think I'm immunocompromised, but I'm very susceptible to catching a virus. Hey, sweetie. Which I'm kind of mad at them for, actually, that they didn't warn me. Grand Theft Auto Bob, if they deny me, I may need to start a GoFundMe. Yeah, it's horrible when we need like new equipment for mobility or support or, you know, any sort of medical device to help us live a decent quality of life. If they doubled ODSP rates, or even if they just covered things, you know, any medical equipment needed, if they just covered it, as opposed to, we'll give you a partial amount. It's like, then how are we supposed to pay for the rest of it if you don't give us enough to live on? Or we'll pay for this particular kind, but then if it breaks, you don't get a new one for a minimum 1 year. Like, it's just, you know, we can't cater our medical needs to what they dole out. They have to dole out according to our medical needs. And I feel for you, Americans. I feel for you. Atticus Among Us has fair assessment, Sandy. Yes. Atticus Among Us saying Brian was too nice. Yeah, I think he was just... I don't think he knows everything that's going on. Because I've seen him push back on some other like right-wingers and stuff way back when. But he knows Jank. He's been on TYT as a guest contributor and stuff. So he probably knows and likes Jank and wouldn't come out with like guns blazing or anything like that. And I just think he doesn't know a lot of stuff. He's just naive. John Martinez, yeah, Cohen is more mainstream, and as such, he doesn't dig in deep like Farron Cousins or any other hard-hitting host. So life, in my honest opinion, there are 3 tiers of homelessness, to be frank. The couch, the car, the curb. Well, there's shelters and different types of shelters. Because I had some people who thought living out of the shelter was safer than living in the shelter for reasons. Grand Theft Autobot, according to Faux Noise, homelessness is actually glamping. PB, I worked with a woman who was once homeless, and it was a social group that helped her get set up to find a job again. I jumped. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where was I? Am I that far behind? I didn't think I was that far behind. I'm not that far behind. PB says how noise hurts your eyes. I think that's in response to me wondering what another comment of yours meant, and I'm wondering what that meant. Because the dog whistle hurting your eyes, yes. I can feel some sounds, and some are good, some are bad. There's a song that I like to listen to from Armin van Buuren, What Took You So Long? It's a newer song, and when I listen to it, I feel it, like all through my body. I can feel it, and it's a good feeling. But there are some sounds that will cause me like physical anguish. So like people don't realize how hard it is to get unhomelessness, just like as much as how easy it is to become homeless. Yeah, it's kind of like there's those mouse traps where it's like a kind of a cone shape. So it's easy to get into, but then, you have like a razor circle that's really small and you can't quite squeeze out of it. That's pretty much what it's like to become homeless, is that, it's a nice little cone that you can easily scooch through, but then it's a cone facing the wrong way when you're trying to get back out. John Martinez, Sandy, we had a double-decker highway in Seattle. The Alaskan Way Viaduct, which doesn't exist anymore, total waste of money that did nothing to alleviate traffic issues. Yeah, the tunnel under a tunnel won't help anything. A highway over a highway won't help anything. There's so many other issues at play, and why the hell would they be building double-decker things in such earthquake-prone areas? Jet, just stop accepting the right-wing framing from the get-go. When we engage with their framework, we're not even having the right conversation. Yeah, something Jake and Anna have a hard time comprehending. Grand Theft Auto, I know how to solve traffic. We invent a stable wormhole. Transporter beams. Matthew the Celt in the US 4K monthly ain't enough. Yeah. Well, you guys also have to pay for health insurance and stuff. We don't have to pay for that here. PB, I borrow my neighbor's cats to enrich my life. Kitties. Yes. So life, I wear clothes forever. I even dye clothes to get more out of them. LOL. Yeah, I wear things until they're unwearable. I have jewelry from when I was a kid almost. Yeah, I use things until they are no longer usable. I hit the part where people are seeing a double kitty. Cute kitties. Oh, yeah. I jumped again. Grand Theft Auto bot. Yeah, the chair I need is like around 2K. So like when I was 26ish and needed a wisdom tooth pulled, perfect tooth, but wisdoms should be removed regardless, and was shocked at the affordable $3,500 estimate I was told I could save with no anesthesia. Ugh. Let's see. John Martinez, noise has not hurt my eyes, but I have lowered my car volume to see if it addresses if the address I arrived at was correct. Matthew the Kelp, magnetic levitation mass transit train, virtually frictionless super bullet train. Yeah, why there isn't a high-speed train from like London to Montreal is bonkers. Like it's just absolute bonkers. Like you basically service half the population of Canada there through that corridor. And I'm not joking, that's half the population through that corridor. PB, Sandy, I probably chat too much. Thank you for having me in your chat. Most of my posts can be ignored. Well, you have to ignore this post at the beginning. It's okay. No, I try to get into conversations, trying to understand back and forth, and if somebody's replying to something I said and stuff. So quite often I'll end up reading the same person over and over again because it's part of an ongoing conversation or something. But then I also try to read chats from people I haven't seen in a while, and yeah, or new chatters and stuff of that sort. But yeah, I am losing steam and the letter hack is on, so I'll do this because I always do this. There we go. There we go. Yeah, all this. And thank you everyone who's already helped out with my channel financially, through getting me something off the Amazon wish list, to one-time payments to help with Frodo's vet bills, to becoming a patron, to all of that, super chats, all of that. I super appreciate it. Thank you to the mods for all the work you do. Thank you to my editor that's helping me out with some videos. And yeah, I appreciate it all. And I will try to stream tomorrow or Sunday. Tomorrow and or Sunday, depending on health and how long other online streaming programs go. And don't forget, when you're in the chats of other online leftists, to bring my attention to the content creators, the hosts. and let them know I exist. So I really, really would like to get to 8K subscribers to my channel by the end of this year. Probably won't happen unless I get a major shout out from a larger channel. Because I'm about 100 people away from that. So I'll try tweeting it out, but my tweets don't get much traction. So help spread the word. Let's help get me to 8K by the end of the year. Happy New Year type thing. Anyway. Where is it? Where is it? Where? No, I do this first. Right. Okay, there we go. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, and this is Lanier, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.